Yes, people, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I hope you're all happy and healthy, doing the things that keep you happy and healthy, especially if you love them. Smash the like button if you love the channel, if you love the content. You haven't got to love the channel, just admire it or just appreciate it, better word. I hope you guys are all locked in. We've got a potentially massive show ahead of us. We've got about 94 people that might be joining us during the show. It's going to be a big one. I can probably participate in a couple of arguments, but because you've heard enough from me, I'm going to let other people have their say. I'm going to let other people argue because I can see who's coming on. It's going to be lively. A couple of the lads that are coming on, they've had a few drinks. They've been out in the sun. It could be a little bit of a wild one, guys. We've got to figure out what on God's earth is going on with Morgan Gibbs-White. We've also got to talk a little bit about Richalison, the Colombian even. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. He might be coming over to Tottenham. I hope he brings some friends with him. If you know, you know. But we've also got maybe the story about Richalison going the other direction. What about Douglas Luiz? Douglas Luiz even. I'm struggling to get my words out. What about Mr. Adam Wharton? The rain's coming down. Don't let it rain on our parade. I'm here with Lukey. From Spotlight on Spurs. Make sure you get over there and sub him. I'll be putting the link in. I can't even speak. I don't know what's going on. Get my lips going better. Lukey, how are you, mate? You okay?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I'd be a lot better if we had the here we go again for Morgan Gibbs-White. That's for sure. But we'll get there eventually, I'm sure.
But can you see what I've had to? Because the last couple of days, or the last couple of times I've done the melt show, it's usually the meltdown because there's nothing like a good old fashioned meltdown in the Tottenham fan base. Last week I've done 2 melt shows, but they're the melt up because everyone was suddenly exciting. Everyone was excited. Everyone was like, "We're back. We're new. It's a new vision. It's a new Tottenham." Levy's been sidelined. Big up the Charrington. Big up the Vinay. We got Kudus done. We got Morgan Gibbs-White done. As soon as there's a little rocky path, Luke, as soon as there's a little bump in the road, as soon as there's any reason, the meltdown is back on. I can already see it. Look. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Morgan Gibbs-White isn't going to happen, is it? Morgan Gibbs-White isn't going to happen. I mean, come on, Jake, what are we doing here? Morgan Gibbs-White ain't happening. What sort of show? This isn't what we do here. This isn't what we do here. We find reasons to be positive. We find reasons to say the only way is up. And the only way is up, Lukey, because you know why? What else has happened today? Look at that. Look at that little micro.
That's why to be positive.
That's actually cool. I need to get me one of them. Send me the link. Send me the link for one of those. Where'd you get that from? Argos or something? Or was it one of those sorts of things? Timu. Oh, yeah, Timu, of course. The digital Argos. Love to see it. Guys, please do this. 400 people here straight out of the track. We love to see it. Appreciate you. Please smash the like button. Smash the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. Drop a comment. Make sure you do subscribe to the creators as they come in thick and fast. In fact, let me put the link out immediately because Lukey, old Lukey, the last time we had him on, I think we took him from like 800 or something to, was it 400 to 700 or 800 to 1,000?
Yeah, it was very, very high. I was just off 1,000. We went when we was on my show. We hit 1,000 while we were live, didn't we?
Oh, there we go.
Took me up.
Tonight we're going to get you above wherever we're going to get you another milestone, guys. Do him a favor. Smash the granny. Also, the choo-choo train, the super sticker train, is very much amongst us. Apparently, we just got a raid already from Saba. Good to see you, Robert Bullmore. Thank you very much, Saba. Appreciate it. I think Saba's coming over. In a minute. I haven't really been paying too much attention today because I've been doing my taxes. I know it's not a nice thing to have to do when things are going on. Just in case anyone doesn't follow Football Inc., by the way. Football Inc. is the channel that me and Johnny do together. And we got a new little gimmick whereby we have to... Oh, James Flower's just joining, but he's lost his flower and he's disappeared again. We have a new gimmick where we pick a team. We get randomly dropped the team via a spin the wheel, and we pick it so that we can follow up on every league throughout the season. So we did the La Liga today, right? 20 teams up there. You'd think that you've got a decent crack of getting like a good one. Yeah, Luke, you think you'd have like maybe you get an outside chance for a Barca or a Real Madrid. Johnny got Bilbao, right? Johnny was there. He's very happy with that. Very happy with that. Who did I get? Fucking Elche. La Liga B team. that have come up. Their highest rated player, their most valuable player, is a geezer worth £3 million. I've now got to go and study Elche. I mean, well, you can't get worse luck than that, can you? It's a terrible situation. The choo-choo train has started, guys. Sorry, Lukey. What's going on, mate?
I said, and you support Spurs.
I know. This is the problem. This is the problem. This is the absolute problem. Surely you still got a like from me, even if I'm cheating on you. Yeah, you're dead to me, bro. We're not friends anymore, Connor. Don't like you no more, bro. No, I love you, really. Drew Ziller's in the choo-choo train. The super sticker junction is right. Is going off. Lovely. Love to see it. We've also got a super chat from Blaine. Sean, you trying to show me up? I go on last week and I'm speechless. You're rambling like a madman. Big up, legends. Appreciate you, mate. Appreciate you. I don't know what's going on. I've been doing taxes all day, so I haven't had a chance to talk very much. And consequently, you're going to hear some absolute waffle out of me. Just quickly, we've got another person joining us. Hello, hang on a second. Let me get rid of that. What are we doing here? Let's get rid of that altogether. How you doing, James? Good to see you, mate.
I'm good, mate. I'm trying to get my camera working, but every time I open my camera, my phone freezes.
That's all right, mate. It's a nice little bit of advertising for your flower shop. I mean,
I'll pay you after.
Your plumbing company, yeah. If anyone needs any plumbing, James Flower in is it Norwich? You're in Norwich,
aren't you? Mate. Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah.
Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Boys, let's start with Morgan Gibbs-White, shall we? I want to get it out of the way because for me, and thank you, Sav, I appreciate you. I think he's coming over and joining us. Thank you for the raid. So, I'll start with you, Lukey. Like Morgan Gibbs-White, I don't want to talk about this all night. There's far more important things to talk about. I'm not even that sold on the transfer, if I'm entirely honest. Like, he's a good player, a really good player, but I'm not sure he's what we need. I'm not sure what problem he solves. I'm really not. When I heard he was coming in, I was like, yeah, great, brilliant. But then I found out that actually Kudus possibly only joined Tottenham on the provision that he could start the season in the 10. And the reason why he said no to everyone else was because part of his demands were, I want to play central. And that's why Chelsea said, can't offer you that. Cole Palmer's our central guy. And Bayern Munich can't offer you that. But Tottenham Hotspur said, well, maybe if that's what he was asking, putting 2 and 2 together here, Kudus is playing in the 10. If he's playing in the 10 whilst Maddison and Decky are recovering from injury, and after that it's a meritocracy thing, Gibbs-White is coming into the 8. Look, he's probably a better 8 than what we have. I'm happy if he comes in, but is it that big of a deal if he doesn't, Luke? Is it that big of a deal?
Well, I think it's about who we go out and get if we don't get him, to be honest with you. I was shocked that we went for him. I like him. I think he's a good player. I think he can play in a variety of positions, but it will be with who he partners. So if we get in, for me, I think he'll probably end up playing more central midfield. Or if we deviate to play in like a 5 at the back with 2 10s, he could come in there. But I kind of agree with you in a way, and then I kind of don't at the same time. I think he's a very good player. I think he could be a good player in a variety of positions, but where his position actually will be in this team is very, very interesting. Is he seen as someone who's going to play deeper? Is he going to be someone who kind of plays like an Eze role off the left? Is he going to be in a 10 role? Where's he going to be, sort of thing? So I like it. I think the fact that we're going out and buying some of the better players teams in our league is exactly how a lot of good teams get better. They go and they pick up the players that other teams have got that are good, take their best players, and it then reduces them down and increases us. So I like the idea. But if we don't get him, who else do we get in is the question for me.
There's literally hundreds of options, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of.
I'm saying will Spurs go and spend that money to get them, like Xavi Simons, for instance? Are Spurs going to go and spend that money elsewhere? I'm not so sure.
Okay, well, let's extend that then. Are we potentially saying that the only reason we went after Morgan Gibbs-White isn't because he solves a problem, but because he had a clause that was underappreciating his value? Is this just Tottenham looking for a scalp rather than filling a hole that we actually have?
I think it's definitely a factor. You look at what's out there and what the going rate for players is, and I think 60 million is kind of the average rate for look at the wingers, for instance. Everyone seems to be going for around the 60 mark. You could argue that a lot of the players that have gone for 60 over this transfer window, particularly, they didn't light up the league last year. They wasn't that great. They probably had a bit of an off season. Kudos is included in that. Madueke didn't set the world alight. And then you can go and get Morgan Gibbs-White, who was one of the better players in his team, captain on occasions, England international, homegrown, and he's also 60 million. So Spurs are always opportunistic. That is the way they do it. Even the transfer, if it does go through, is opportunistic in terms of get the release clause, play it, get it done with. That was an opportunity that obviously came up. So I like it. I think he'll be a good player, but there's definitely a sense of that with Spurs.
Can I'll ask a question on obviously him? Is who out of our fan base said we needed another number 8 before he come in? Like for me, it was a left winger, a striker, a number 6, maybe a left back, maybe a centre back. Yep. Who actually said, yeah, we need a number 8? That's what we need to go for next. That for me is what I'm not saying that he's not going to improve our team, because I think he will massively. But first of all, I think solve the problems before you then start buying so-called luxury players, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Now, this is the thing. I thank you, Sava. Welcome, Sava, to the show. Thank you for the raid, mate. Very cool of you. This is the chat for me. Like I was listening whilst I was doing my taxes. I was listening to Sava's show. Obviously, he spent a long time having debates with Forest fans and that around what's going on here. And I don't want to kind of. I feel like if a lot of people here have been watching that, then there's no point in kind of going over that side. I'd rather talk and focus on the value of a Gibbs-White. Put to one side whether or not we've broken the rules, whether it was the agent, whether it's going to happen. Like, park all that stuff. Like, none of us probably know. Right? We'll let the lawyers and all that stuff figure it out. My question, Sava, is: did we need a Morgan Gibbs-White? By the way, just to preface it, because I know what's going to happen. I can already see in the comments. I can already see it, and I said this on a show earlier, on my upload earlier. Butler doesn't want Morgan Gibbs-White. Butler doesn't know ball. I might not know ball, but I also am not saying that I don't rate Morgan Gibbs-White. I do very much like Morgan Gibbs-White, and I think there's a lot of value to some of his attributes that I think Tottenham need: spite, fire, fight, grit, graft, determination. He adds a little bit of that kind of CUNT gene to our squad that I think you could really benefit from. But I just don't really see what problem he solves in an 8. I think we've already got too many 8s. If you were going to get an 8, maybe one that lent defensive rather than one. I'm happy if he comes in because he elevates us. But I'm just saying, in a needs-must situation, I never really went, oh, wow, we're cooking now. I just think we've improved on an area of the pitch that we were already somewhat okay in, right? And we've still got gaping holes elsewhere, Sava.
Yeah, I don't see it like that. I see it that the 8s we've got, I'm really not enamoured with any of them. But for me, I think he does solve a lot of what we've not got. I don't think we've got enough industrious, hardworking, bustling footballers, and I think Morgan Gibbs-White does that, whether it's in the 8, whether it's in the 10. I think he's good on the ball. I think he works super hard as well. He's just got something about him. And I look at the players we've got in that position, and I feel they're a little bit lightweight. I feel they're all a little bit nice. And I think Gibbs-White has got that little bit of, not nasty in a bad way, but just that little bit of nasty that you need in midfield to go in there and ruffle some feathers. And we know that Frank's admired him for a couple of years. So, I really like him.
That basis then, Sam, sorry to interrupt. I want to clarify. By the way, I agree with you that our 8s, the midfield has been a problem. But was that improvement a priority for you? Was he the sort of player that you thought that Tottenham were going to get, that profile? Was that something that you were hoping that Tottenham would solve before we solve the 6, before we solve the right or the left winger, before we solve a forward, before we solve the left back, before we solve the left-sided centre-back? Where in the stack rank was a Morgan Gibbs-White type of profile?
I think 3 or 4 of them should have all been solved in one window. That's the thing. I don't think it should be a priority order. I think if we've got anything about us this window, which people are saying we have, then I think you do it all. I think we've solved the right side with Kudus. I think we will get in a ball-winning type midfielder as well. Lots of reports, rumours on Belieber, that sort of thing. I think we will get a player like that in. And I think a Gibbs-White next. Listen, I want to see the whole midfield revamped. So I do think it was a priority for me. I think that the midfield is the engine room of any team. And I'll be honest, Bentancur, Sarr, Bissouma, it's all got a bit. I'm not saying they're all bad players, but I don't know about you guys. I just feel like it's all got a little bit boring. I feel it needs a little bit of refreshment. None of them can seem to say fit. I don't really know what they all are. Like if you said, what is Sarr? All right, he's got a good engine, but as a footballer, I want better. And Gibbs-White for me elevates above everything we've got in midfield. And I just think if you have Gibbs-White as the 8, Maddison as the 10, and then you bring in someone who can play in that 6, I think you've now got a little trifecta there where we actually look solid, look really good. That's only me. That's only in an ideal world.
Oh, I don't disagree with what you're saying. But again, I don't want to say it the whole. I'm going to have to say it about 1,000 times. I can tell. I don't mind it. I really like him. It's just I'm questioning whether or not the reason why we bought him was because someone found out that there was a cheap deal on the table. Relative to value. I don't think
it's a cheap deal, though. I don't even think it's a cheap deal. I think if we were, I think that what we've heard is that Thomas Frank's wanted him for a couple of years and admired him for a couple of years, and I think he fits perfectly for the way. I think we've got to remember the way Frank plays is going to be very, very different to how we've played before, right? So that he tends to. I think a lot of Spurs fans are talking as though he plays with an out-and-out 6 and then 2 in front, and he doesn't tend to do that. He tends to have the 2. Then you're so like, i.e. at Forest, it would have been like Norgard and Janelt with Damsgaard in front. And that's what I think we need to, that's where I think a Gibbs-White as a number 8 does the whole box to box, scores goals, good on the ball, good engine. I don't think Bentancur's got that. I don't think Bissouma's got that. And I don't think Sarr's got that. Berghvall, I know everyone's losing their mind about him. He's still only 19. We still need to find a position for him. But listen, I think he solves. I think there's a lot of problems at Spurs that needed solving, Sean. So I hear what you're saying.
For sure.
But I'd take it. I'd take him.
Is that the double pivot that you like? Is that
Shut up, you. Yeah, look, I just think it would be lovely, wouldn't it, to certainly in the midfield and out wide to have some really different options. And that's not saying that the likes of Bentancur and these boys are bad, but we've seen them. We've seen Bentancur for 4 years now. We've seen Bissouma for three and a half, 4 years. We've seen Sarr for a number of years. At what point are we going to stop doing this thing where, well, this manager will elevate them? At what point do we go, right, no, let's refresh. Let's look at Liverpool. When Liverpool, do you remember they had that year where they got rid of Henderson, Wijnaldum, I'm missing one, Fabinho. They all went. And then it was like, right, McAllister's coming in, Gravenberch is coming in. And it was like they refreshed the whole thing at once. That's what I want to see. Just me. That's what I want to see. Let me ask this.
Sorry. So do you think that means there is no number 6 coming inbound? Then we're going to be signing him as Frank doesn't play with a number 6. Do you think it's going to be him and Bentancur or him and Berghvall rather than actually signing a number 6?
I feel like we get too bogged down with the number. This is my problem.
Oh, that kind of player though, like because he's not going to sign a Palhinha and play him in a number 8 or like a double pivot. He's more.
But why not?
Palhinha,
when he played at Fulham, Palhinha played alongside Harry Reid in a 2. Right, you had Palhinha.
Yeah, but his main job was to win that ball back and knock it off, wasn't it? That was what he did. There was no frills or spill. It was, I'll win that, pass it to you.
Sure.
So I'll worry about playing him further forward and give him a bit more duties to sort of move the ball forward.
No. Did you watch Fulham? This is the thing. This is when people talk about the number 6. Got to remember when you watched Fulham played 2 in midfield. Palhinha didn't sit there on his own. He didn't sit there on his own, right? He sat there with Reid. He went Reid like that. Yeah. Reid goes like that. Yeah. That's exactly what Tottenham will do with Thomas Frank. You'll have one who's the more box to box, and you'll have one who's got more defensive duties. That's the one we're going to call the number 6, right?
Yeah, right. But that's the point. Okay. There. Call it what you want, like double pivot, 6-8, 2-8, whatever. If one is sitting if you don't go and sign a Palhinha, who of Bentancur, Sarr, Berghvall, Morgan Gibbs-White, or Bissouma,
I think he'll
as it
sign
currently
one.
stands, sits?
He'll sign one. The first
Correct.
thing
He has to sign one. He has to sign one.
I think he knows that. I think he has to. Look, Berghvall's not a 6. Bentancur's not a 6. None of them are defensive minded. Like Bissouma's absolutely brilliant at putting out fires, right? Which is different to smelling danger, right? He puts out fires all over the pitch. Bentancur, for me, if you've got a deep lying as a passer, yeah, he's okay. He's a good player. But you're right. You guys were all right. He's got to go out and get somebody of that Wharton, Belieber, Palhinha, Edison. It's got to be someone of that ilk that sits in the midfield. The others say, this guy will put out the fires if the rest of us go forward. So, I would. Palhinha's the dream for me.
I 100% agree with that. We'll come to that in a second. Lukey, just before we get to if we can all agree that there is a need, at least it doesn't have to play all the time, but a need for someone who can do that kind of defensive role that we don't have. Before we figure out who that is, can we just talk about the fact that we then have 5 midfielders that all do the same thing on different levels of competence? Someone has to go. At the moment, Bissouma is the guy that we've been trying to ship on, but he seems to be cop blocking and saying, I don't want to go, like Bugsy Malone when it's time to go home. She's not going, right? She doesn't want to go. You have to drag her kicking and screaming. Who is it that makes way for Morgan Gibbs-White and somebody else, whoever that is, which we'll figure out in a second?
I definitely think this is the one that they want to go, but Bentancur, there was a lot of talk about him signing a new contract, and that seems to have gone very quiet. Maybe Frank's come in and gone, actually, he's not what I need. And going back to the old 6 double pivot defensive player, whatever you want to call it, I think that he will sign someone. And one of the main reasons why I think that is because if he wasn't going to get someone in, like a top one that would come in and be like the first name on the team sheet almost, then I think he would have gone for Norgard. And I think Norgard would have come. He was almost like his son. He absolutely adored him. So I'd be very, very surprised if we don't. I completely agree. I think when we start at the end of the season and I kind of said where I think our targets will lie, I never went for a Morgan Gibbs-White. And the only reason for that is because I felt like we had other priorities and we wouldn't be able to go and get 3 and 4 players because that's not what Spurs do. However, it looks like with investment that might potentially be changing. So for instance, if we were Man City now, would they be sitting here going, do we need him? Really, we need this? No, they'll be going, we need him and we also need this and we also need that. So maybe we need to just start changing our thinking a little bit as fans because we only expect one to come in.
Do you not think
Danny,
as well?
welcome,
Danny. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, guys. Thank you for
how
having me.
How many cocktails have you had today, just out of curiosity, just so I know what I've got to catch up?
No, I didn't, mate. I literally had a glass of vodka with some diet lemonade and 2 of those, and that was it.
Okay, good man.
Pretty good. And
is it important that it was diet?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Less sugar, mate.
Thanks for dropping that in.
Very important. Very important. No, I was gonna say, right. I was listening to you guys as well.
What's going on?
I was listening to you guys just before I came on, and your first question about Gibbs-White, Sean. I think it's a bit funny because isn't one of the things that so many Spurs fans over the years have been complaining about the strength in the depth that we have and the strength that is not there in the squads that we've had over the years, right? So it's funny that people sometimes, like, I know, Sean, you said that you wouldn't worry or you wouldn't mind if we don't go and get him, but in my opinion, I think the fact that Tottenham,
I'm not going to have a meltdown about it, is all I'm saying.
I know, I get it.
I like the player, but I'm not going to have a meltdown.
I think you got to look at it from the perspective of Tottenham never go out for someone who was in contention for Premier League Player of the Season last year, right? He was in contention for it. And as Sava said, he's got a bit of everything, right? I completely agree with what Sava was saying. I think the fact that we are going for someone like that, to me, shows something different that I haven't seen Spurs do in if ever. So I can't see why anyone would not want this to happen. I still think personally that deal's going through. I just think it's a matter of time.
So do I.
But look, I think Gibbs-White offers us something that we don't have. And the fact that last season, I think some of you guys, I think Savin might have mentioned it before, that when Maddison is not playing in the team, it's like we don't work. We just last season we just didn't work whatsoever with Maddison. There's no creativity in the team. And then if you've got someone like Gibbs-White in your squad, then you've got that option to rotate, which means these players can actually have game time spread between them, gives them more energy throughout the season, and it gives us balance throughout the squad. So I can't see why anyone would not want someone like Gibbs-White. I think he's.
I do agree with you, and I don't think the question is like, do you want him or not? Because I think he's a fantastic player, but I think if we're basing on what we've seen over the last 25 years of Levy being in charge, we're not going to sign a left winger, a striker, a number 6, a left back, but
James, right?
Hang on, Danny, let him finish his point.
Go on.
So for me, I think that he will be our best midfielder. Like, I'm not denying that at all, but I think the bigger priority is getting Son out, upgrading on Solanke, getting Richalison out. I would get Robinson in instead of Udogie. Like, I think there are upgrades to be got that are a lot more important than a Morgan Gibbs-White. And that's not saying that he's not levels above a Bentancur and stuff, because he is, but I just think that you solve your weaker positions first, and then you go for the Morgan Gibbs-Whites.
It's an opportunity cost. It's an opportunity cost, right? If you've got 60 million to drop on Morgan Gibbs-White, that's 60 million you can't drop elsewhere, I think is James's point. And I share it. I love Morgan
Gibbs-White. That. But the thing is, right, the honest truth is we're not going to go and sell Udogie this summer unless like Real Madrid come in for him or a big club spends stupid money on him. We're not going to go and sell Solanke. So that's out of the realms of reality and what's probably possible. Right. So we have to look at actually what we can do this window realistically. Realistically,
but we could sell Richarlison and buy a striker. We don't have another left back, so we could buy Robinson anyway.
The thing is, you have to look at what we've got right now, right? Right now, we still need a number 6. We still need a number 8 or a central midfielder, I'd call it, right? We need that central midfielder because Sava's right. And a few others I've heard over the last few weeks. I mean, we've got Pape Matar Sarr, we've got a Bentancur that's inconsistent and injured most of the time. We've got Berghvall who's 19 years old. And who else have we got in midfield? I'm trying to figure out.
Archie Gray.
Yeah, Bissouma. That's it, Archie Gray. Archie Gray. He should be subbed out this club on loan for the rest of the season. I don't even want to even have a conversation about Archie Gray.
Time out.
We know what's going to happen, right? Lugo's going to come running, right? And then the next thing, Bissouma again. I think he's a good player, but he's so inconsistent. He's got so much ability and talent, but the guy can't stay consistent for a whole season. So it makes no sense why we're saying, like, for me, Gibbs-White is an absolute must in this midfield.
100%.
Absolute must. And 100%. I think Robinson or a left wing back or someone like that, I think it's not the most important because you have got Spence who can play in both roles, right? We've got a little bit more cover, right? I think there's a lot more that we need to do. If we sell Richarlison, then go and get a striker. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't go and get Morgan Gibbs-White as well. Because the truth is, if we have got this investment coming in, why not is the question. Why not? Why can't we do all of it?
Freestyle. Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Jay. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. I see Sava. You got a little haircut. Love the fact that you dressed up for me. Love that. Appreciate it. So listen, James. I'm not sure I've had the pleasure.
Haircut.
I'm not sure I've had the pleasure for it. But James, listen, Gibbs-White, I've got to concur with what Danny says. You got to understand, like, where we are as a club. Look at midfielders of his quality who are available, who aren't going to go to somebody else over us and want to come to us. I think he's a must. Like, as in, like, we can't leave this.
We have Tel playing left wing.
No, because the thing is like mentally.
I hate on my boy Tel.
No, because mentally,
the geezer scored 1 goal.
Mentally, James, you've mentally sold Son. That's the issue that you've got in this situation with what you're doing here, because you're not including Son and you're not including a potential replacement. So you're double dipping on the negativity with regards whether or not what's going to happen on the left wing. So you can't do both. You either include Son or then you demand the club get a replacement if we sell Son.
But no, I get what you're saying, but I just think that replacing Son is a bigger priority than replacing Bentancur. That for me is a bigger role that we need to replace.
Can I quickly add something?
James, I'd like to do this thing real quickly. Okay, did you rate Ange tactically as a manager?
No, of course not.
Okay, cool. So,
we said this last time, though.
No. But my thing, James, is if you run an experiment, you can't change everything at the same time if you want to see what the results are. So, if you don't rate Ange as a manager and you bring in a different manager, surely there's certain players that you have to see under a different manager before you say we must get this player out. Because otherwise, you run an experiment with everything a variable.
I'm getting a bit of a semi on with that logic, mate. I love that logic. It's just giving me a hard on there, Jay. Be careful, mate. Be careful. There might be trouble tonight.
Jay, let me. Do you know what? Can I just make a point about this? I think the thing is, what we're all doing as YouTubers and content creators, whatever, we're all sitting here and we're making definites as to what we must sign, and none of us have actually asked Thomas Frank. Like, do you know what I mean? We're all going, we must have a left back. We must have a DM. We must have a left winger. Has anyone thought that maybe Thomas Frank isn't thinking the same thing? Have we ever thought that maybe Thomas Frank has come in and gone, okay, well, that guy's going to be good for me there. This guy's going to play here. I'm not going to play that formation. I think we're all talking as though we're still under Ange. I think we're all talking about needing the positions that we needed in an Ange Postecoglou formation rather than Thomas Frank. So when we're all going, where does Gibbs-White fit in? What does he... Listen, if Thomas Frank has signed off on Morgan Gibbs-White, I trust Thomas Frank that he's going to find and play him in his best position. You will never hear me complaining about Spurs buying good players.
All right, let me ask you this, though. Right? Let me ask you this. And before I get the answer, actually, before I ask the question, give me 2 seconds. There's a guy who is inhaling and breathing like they're smoking on an exhaust pipe. Is that you, Danny? Can you turn your microphone down?
Maybe. It probably
sounds like Bugsy Malone. Insane. Let me just run some super chat. The super train the stickers have started when I drew. Choo choo! All aboard the super sticker train. I learned that from Sava. It's been incredibly. It's a fantastic thing. Thank you, Drew. Appreciate you, mate. He says Elche again. Ole. That's my new La Liga team. Apparently, after Football Link today, I've got to support Elche all year long. You couldn't pick it. It didn't. It got given to me in a spin the wheel contest. But thank you, Drew. Appreciate you, mate. And look at that, 35k. Did we get over 35k? Did we? If we have, then that's amazing. Thank you so much, Drew. Thank you so much to everyone that's been a part of it. Also, all of you that have been a part of the channel. 35k is absolutely sensational. It's been a wild couple of months since we won the cup for sure. Drew, you're an absolute legend, mate. I love you to pieces, buddy. Thank you very much for the super chat, mate. Very generous indeed. Dom Byrne. Super chat saying Morgan Gibbs-White accuracy with kudos Tel and Johnson on the break. It is a little bit semi-giving. It is quite lovely. Especially, I want to ask you guys about Kudus because apparently he's sort of asked to play central, and that's one of the reasons why there's nobody else that's come in for him. But thank you, Dom. Hang on 1 second, Danny. 1 second. And Paul Langley, who apparently doesn't like me very much, but he's come in with a super sticker. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate you. I promise you, if Lubo does join us, then depending on what he says, it doesn't matter how little or more, how much vodka I've had this evening. Very little. I've been doing my taxes all day. But it's regardless of that. If Lubo says something donut-esque, he's going to be treated like a donut. That's the way it works.
I can tell you what he's going to say. He's got a 7-point manifesto.
Thank you very much, Paul. Appreciate you, mate. What I did want to ask you guys is that, like, if you have 60 million quid and Morgan Gibbs-White's the guy, and by the way, like I say, I don't want to come across as the guy that doesn't rate Gibbs-White because I do. But if you see that Newcastle are closing on Ekitike, until about 2 days ago, I thought that Ekitike was the sort of caliber of player that wasn't attainable to a team like Tottenham. But if he's attainable to a team like Newcastle, he's surely attainable to a team like Tottenham. And so my question is, opportunity cost. Does Morgan Gibbs-White feel more of a hole or less of a hole than someone like Ekitike coming in and sitting on the left-hand side?
We're just too loaded in terms of that attack. Like whether you rate the players or not, that we just have too many players in those positions, and it's like
you could say that about the midfield. We got like 9 midfielders.
No, in like for example, left wing White for example, you've got Son, Odebear, Tel. and potentially Mikey Moore, and Richie can play there,
Solomon.
right? And Solomon.
Yang.
And Yang.
Hill,
I'm not even getting into the younger players. I'm just talking about plus. Let's say Frank says, Brennan, we're gonna play you inverted, and Kudus.
Yeah, but because they can play on the left doesn't mean that they should play on the left.
No, but 4 of those players are left wingers.
Well, Odebear's a right winger.
No, Odebear's a left. I see him as a left winger.
He's played in the minutes he's played off the right.
Okay, let's see
He's
both
played
sides.
better as a
I
right
see
winger
him as
as
a
well.
Burnley player.
Okay. yes. He used to play for them.
I like
So-
that.
But I disagree with what you said there, because you said about there's four left wingers.
Right.
Well, there's Berghvall, Bentancur, Bissouma, Gray, Donnelly. If you want to keep naming names, Maddison
Oh,
played there
Gray's
last
Gray's
season.
You can't say Donnelly, really. We've got
But
four.
you can't be talking about Odebear when he ain't played left wing for us. So you're putting people in there because they can play there, not because they do play there.
For 30 million, and he's a first team player. Donnelly is not a first team player. Whether you think he will be,
Well,
or
I mean,
not.
you mentioned Mikey Moore though. You put Mikey Moore on your list.
Mikey Moore was part of the first team last season.
Oh,
Like,
Jay, Lubo's coming for
No,
you. Luke, you
no,
can't
you
talk
are.
about Donnelly.
The
Lubo's
point
gonna
remains
come
is
for you.
whether you like it or not, we can't stockpile players, right? We've already got too many players to register. If you want us to bring in another left winger, Son has to leave, because we have. Whether you clearly think Son should leave, and I understand that's fine.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to look at it from the point of view of saying that I don't think Son was platformed correctly, right? And Thomas Frank is a very good platformer of attackers. If Son wants to stay, I'm sure we will see the best version of what he's capable of giving us in his career at this point next season. And I have no issues with that happening. If other people do, cool. I don't mind it. But me, Son, up to you. If you want to leave, cool. I'm never going to force you out. Don't care about the aesthetics. Don't care about the logistics. Can't ask for loyalty for players. And on the switch around, you don't want to show it on that. So if he wants to stay, he stays. And we deal with what we have on the left side, and we'll sort it out next summer.
No,
and
Jay,
see whether we can get a left winger.
No. It should be, if Thomas Frank wants him to stay, he stays. This is where we get so caught up in sentimentality. Now, what I agree with you. Listen, Jay, you know I couldn't stand Postecoglou, so I'm sure that all of these players will naturally be better without him here. Son will be better, but the problem is, Sonny, we've seen for 10 years. He is naturally on the decline because of his age. That's not a negative. That's just natural, right? For me, if Thomas Frank puts him in the team, I trust that Thomas Frank has said, this is what I'm going to get out of him. This is his position. If he's sold, I trust that Thomas Frank has said, yeah, I don't need him. And the thing is, for me, I trust Thomas Frank with these decisions, but it shouldn't be Son's decision. This, you know what I mean? Like, obviously he can say, I don't want to leave, and Spurs can say, well, we would like you to, but I don't want to go. But whether he plays or not, has got to be down to Frank,
100%. As in, like, if he stays, he accepts the role that the manager wants to play him in this season. That goes without saying. So it doesn't go without saying, because obviously we explained it, but I'm saying that has to be the way it goes. It's the manager's choice. I think if the club looks at it and says, I don't think you can take a bit part role based on your stature and who you are as a player, and we think it's for the best that we move on, because that's how we see it. Again, 100% agree that the manager's decision should veto that of Son in that specific instance. Bar that, I'm happy for him to make the decision within the realms of what's good for Tottenham. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I agree.
So with that point, Sava, do you back Tel then, because Frank has signed off on Tel? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it's not about me
one.
backing Tel. Listen, it's not about me backing Tel. I think I've made it very clear that I don't want Tel starting.
Backing's probably the wrong word, yeah.
The difference is, though, when I see what you're trying to do there, it's very sneaky, James. I mean, the difference is we've all seen in the past what Son is capable of. We've all seen
a long time ago.
No, well, you said it was a long time ago, but his stats are still relatively decent, right? The problem I've got is I've never seen that ever from Tel in Bayern Munich or Spurs. However, I'll say this again, if Thomas Frank starts Tel on the left-hand side, so be it. He's got to get the best out of him. Do I want better? Yeah. Is it my decision? No. But I think we've got to remember that Tel signing had nothing to do with Frank, right? That Tel signing's got nothing to do with Thomas Frank at this football club.
Why are we talking about Tel like he's not going to be an absolute superstar next year, by the way? He's gonna have...
The thing is, do you know what? With Tel, I actually think Tel's got the most potential to improve under Frank. I think he's going to turn him into an absolute.
He's going to be an absolute monster.
Honestly, Sava, the thing is, right? What I've seen in a 19-year-old kid in 6 months and how he slowly got better. If he's got the right coaching, he did get better.
A lot better.
Okay.
He did.
Okay.
I mean, and not to the level that you'd expect, Sava, right? But from what I've seen for someone who
the level I would expect, he did nothing.
Because he's the 19-year-old
square root of nothing.
No, that's not true.
He didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing, Sav. What
And
about the game?
What about team of people that didn't care? He was the only one who cared. He threaded that through ball through the eye of a needle in the West Ham game.
If caring is the barometer,
determination.
Sure, he's amazing.
Caring is like a nice little soppy word, a cloudy word, a pillowy word to demonstrate grit, graft, determination, all of the things that you think are key and encompassing about why you want to see Morgan Gibbs-White. All of that stuff is embodied in Mathys Tel as well. Whoa. You can say whoa as many times as you want. My point still stands, my man.
Listen, look, I'm not going to sit here and make this a slagging off Tel session. Listen, I've not seen a single thing from him watching him at Bayern Munich or at Spurs that made me go, I want him at Tottenham Hotspur. But he is at Tottenham Hotspur. That's it, right? I can't do anything about that. It's now down to Thomas Frank to coach him, right? I wouldn't expect that this guy will be a starter. That's only me. I wouldn't expect. I think that I'll be disappointed if he is in the first 11 because that will show me that we've not gone and strengthened properly. I would expect that we will see. I want to see a Matoma on the left. I'm just plucking names. I'm not expecting all of these. I want to see a Matoma on the left wing. I want to see a Grealish. I want to see somebody with experience, somebody that's been there, seen it, done it, someone that Tel can learn off. Then, sure, bring him in, develop him, whatever. If he starts as our left-sided player,
do you not think that maybe that if Son stays one more season, he's going to have that rotation with Son, and then next season we can focus on getting a wing when Son goes, right? And then at least
possibly. Danny, possibly. I've just not seen anything in him.
I know what you're saying, right?
Terrible. I
know what you're saying, right? I don't know if he's ready to be like the first choice left winger at the club, right? That I could agree with, right? But in terms of,
just wait
I don't think he's good enough for
weekend, mate, when he scores a hat.
But the thing is, no. But do you know what? The thing is with him? I do see there is something in that boy's ability, and it's like there is something waiting to be unlocked, and he's got the right attitude.
Sure, but we say that about everyone.
But the thing is, Sav,
we say that about everyone.
I never said that about Berghvall. I never said that about Berghvall.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, but Berghvall didn't.
I like Berghvall.
No, Berghvall.
He said Berghvall.
But the problem is, Danny, we have to be really careful here. We have to be really careful here, especially you. I'm looking at you, Danny Kiriakou, especially you. Because
you in particular, everyone, but you in particular, Dan.
Yeah.
I think Sean will agree with me, and I think Jay will probably agree with me on this as well. Right? Those that scream the loudest, right? That's what I'm going to put you in the category, right? If Mathys Tel is our left-sided forward next year and we don't buy better and he doesn't do well, you'll be the first person saying that this is typical Daniel Levy. He didn't back right?
No.
And Danny,
what if we go and find Gibbs-White and like bloody Wharton?
Let me finish. This is what people would do. If you want Tel in the team, by the way, I've always caveated and said maybe in 2 years, Tel will be a great player. All I'm saying is, for now, I think we can do so much better than Mathys Tel. I genuinely do. So I don't want to see him as our starting winger. I don't know if we're going to play wingers.
But I don't think he will be.
Then that's fine. But bearing in mind, I just want it noted, I didn't bring up Tel in this conversation, right? I genuinely didn't.
It also comes down to what else we do in the window, though. That's the thing.
Exactly,
the same thing I said about Tel is that everyone's judging Tel on he was the first signing, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, we should have done better." When then you follow it up with Kudos and Morgan Gibbs-White, and then you go, "Hang on a minute," and it could be the same.
But then what if you go and get Palhinha and then Wharton as well, Luke?
That's what I'm saying.
This is what that was the original question that me and Sean was asking. Are there bigger holes to fill before you start buying like Gibbs-Whites and stuff? That was the original thing. Because
you got to remember,
me personally, I think Morgan Gibbs-White is a fantastic player and he's going to elevate us massively. Like I really do. But I would much rather see us replace a left-sided or get a striker. I think they're number 6. I think there are players that for me would have been right. I cannot go into this season without a number 6. You cannot do that. But that's got to be priority.
Do you know what, James? It goes back to what Jay was saying earlier, right? Everyone was complaining that we didn't have a coach, right? A proper coach who coaches players. Now we've got a coach who coaches players, right? And is known for actually bettering the level of the players in his squad, right? Just by what he's done at Brentford. So if we're going by that, then what Jay was saying, then isn't there a chance that players like Sonny could have like a third rebirth again at Spurs? And in his last season, he might absolutely kill it because we know he's not going to sign a new contract. Now,
of course.
It all depends, James, is if Sonny stays or goes. Because if Sonny stays, right, then I don't think it's the biggest problem at this moment because we need to see what Frank can do in his first season. And then we can see, based on the players we get after the window's shut, then we can see, okay, after a whole season of Frank ball, let's just say, right, then we can judge what he actually needs. But then if Son does go and Tel is our only left winger with the rest of the left wingers in the squad right now, then I'd say 100% agree with you. I think it'll be going into a season as Tel as the only starting winger who's in that squad, because I don't think Yang and the other players are going to be ready to play those positions yet. Then I think that's a bad move, and I think that we're going to be.
For me, I don't see what Son has done in the last 2 years to survive. Let me finish. Jay, let me finish. Listen, Jay, your winger opinion's irrelevant. You rate Brennan Johnson. So let me finish.
Well, you can't disregard how many goals he scored.
No, let me finish my point. Let me finish my point.
Jay, one sec. James land, and then Jay take off. Okay.
For me, yeah, exactly. Yeah. For me, playing Son, like we said, if Son stays, it's not a be all and end all. You do realise we're going into the Champions League, and he's not going to be able to just run in behind and get those goals. You're going to have responsibilities to do. You're going to have to work back. You're going to have to, and I haven't seen that from Son in the last 2 or 3 years. So for me, it's a big chance saying maybe we'll be okay. Son could do a job. Well, you're rolling Champions League qualification on he could do a job.
Bro, okay.
He got 27 goal involvements.
Well, listen, the thing is like the way you're talking about Sonny to me is insane. Like it's insane to me. The guy's not done like double like for like last season's the first time he's not done it. He had injuries, he had other stuff. You're not giving him any good. How many goals did Son get the previous season? You said he hadn't done anything in 2 years. But in Andrew's first season, how many goals did Son get in the Premier League?
I've got his Premier League goals here. He got 17.
How many goals did Son get in the Premier League?
17. He got 17 and then 7, I believe. I believe it was 17.
The same goal and assist as Eze last year.
So in the last 2 years, this guy got 17 goals in one season. So regardless of whether or not you rate the guy right now, you cannot. The reason I was so just mad was because you said
you're taking one stat. You're taking one stat. We also conceded the most goals we've ever conceded. We also conceded the most goals we ever conceded because the guy didn't get back, or we're not bothering about that. So when we play PSG next season and he's standing up front on his own, hoping for a tap-in, we're going to leave Udogie one-on-one with Udogie, Kvaratskhelia, players like this, Yamal. There's more to the game than just looking at stats.
Hang on, James. Let Jay finish. The point is it's patently unfair to say Son hasn't done anything in 2 years. It's an unfair statement. Yeah, it is. Like, it's just an unfair statement. Now we can get to the merit of whether or not you think he should stay with the club moving forward. But my point to you is that the player, I'd obviously have Son going into the Champions League next season. Why wouldn't I? Like you're talking like he's a bum. I'm saying to you, I believe that this season, was down to a multitude of reasons, and it could be the player is washed. Yeah, but I'm more than happy to roll the dice on that he's not. Like, do you know what I mean? Because
Jay,
you're going off this one season, and you're going off the fact he's playing as a touchline winger. Why is one of the best inside forwards of the last 5-6 years in the Premier League playing as a touchline winger? Yeah, you're exposing his biggest frailties at this age. Yeah, in the system, and I'm happy to see.
Wait, is that right? Sorry, Jay, is that right, bro? Is that right? Luke, you might be able to throw some light on this. Is that a true stat? If so, that's quite alarming. Fucking hell!
How many open play goals did Solanke get? Listen, like the
Can
team.
I give you a stat?
Deflections. Someone's hit a nerve.
Son
Son
did not have a great season last season. Yeah, no one is saying that he did, but context as to why he had a bad season and the fact he could also improve on last season doesn't. I'm not negating those stats. I'm not looking at those stats saying, "Oh my God, they're untrue." Son had a bad season by his high standards, which is still a good season for a lot of Premier League forwards.
Well, not really. If he had one non-penalty goal in 27, that's not a good season for anyone's standards, bro.
Can I throw some stats that might change a few hearts and minds, and it might not? Sonny, in the last 2 years, in all competitions, has played 82 games. How many GA do you think he's got in the 82 games?
50.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly 50, Jay.
Yeah, that's fucking impressive, to be honest. That's really
crazy.
Impressive.
It's crazy.
But what happened?
What's more impressive, Son's stats or Jay getting it right, though? That's a pretty decent.
82 and 50. Now, don't get me wrong. Listen, I feel like I'd like to see something fresher. I've said that. But 82 and 50, it's not the end of the world. Yes, he's not that dynamic, explosive player that he was. But what I will give him is, again, this might shine through just how much I did not want Ange at this club. I just thought that Ange managed this guy so bad, it's unreal. I don't want Son anywhere near a touchline. I don't want Son getting the ball out on the wing. I want Son driving into those channels where he can cut in and whip those balls into the top corner. And this is the thing. Ange didn't quite understand that for 2 years of Son, right? I thought he did well in the first year under Ange. Last year, he didn't look the same. Still managed to grab some goals and assists. But if he stays, what we can agree on, surely, guys, is he's got to find a little bit more dynamism. Because last year I would say he looked more disinterested than anything else. Not in a horrible way. I think he just looked like he was bored of hugging the touchline and passing it inside 5 yards every time.
Sam,
I just feel like if you're going to base a footballer on stats, then you have to start rating Brennan Johnson.
No, sure, but James, that's different. We all know that Brennan Johnson's stats are everything for him as a player. That's what he does, because outside of his stats, there isn't really, this might piss people off, there isn't really a lot. He's not technically good. He can't beat a man. He doesn't use his pace. He's not strong. Sonny, though, we know that as well as the stats, we know the qualities that he's got. We know that he can hurt people. Now, whether or not that's diminished over the years, I guess that'll be for Frank to decide in the next 3-4 weeks between now and the end of visiting Asia. But if he's here, I mean, we had the chat the other day, James, where I said if they played a 2 up top, and you said you'd rather Brennan Johnson in the 2, and I was like, nah. If I want someone through on goal, I want Sonny. So I feel like you are unnecessarily hating on him a bit too much.
No, I just think that there is more important players. The whole thing was started by about getting proper forwards in over a midfielder. That was my main thing. It was, I feel like we need a left winger and a striker before we signed a centre midfielder, and that was my main thing. And like I said, the whole thing was about not just his stats, but the ability to defend and not leave Udogie open. I know we're saying about oh, that's all Ange's problems. Well, let's go back and watch the documentaries under Mourinho when Hugo Lloris is absolutely going nuts at Son for not tracking his man. He's got a reputation of not jogging back and covering. He just doesn't do that side of the game. When you're going into the Champions League in front of with all these big teams, you can't have people like that.
Bro, I hear what you're saying, but look at how Slot platforms Salah. Yeah, look at the
Please don't compare Son and Salah. Please don't compare Son and Salah.
Son the most. Yeah, we're going into this season, and it's like I hear what you're saying about the tracking and all this stuff, but we should be talking about that way. We should be talking about attacking, scoring goals.
Football's not like that anymore. Football's not like that anymore.
To mitigate Sonny's legs.
It is. Liverpool catered to Trent the whole time he was there because they knew.
And Salah.
And Salah. Hold up, but Luis Enrique wouldn't take us.
Do things that they go make Trent play as a traditional right back. Yeah, he's gonna have a lot of issues. If you don't platform your best players, what you're going to get is you're going to get a mean average performance from them.
Is that the case at PSG, though? Because Mbappe was desperate to just do what Salah does, and Luis Enrique called him out for it. They ended up getting rid of Mbappe to go to Real Madrid, and PSG thrived by having a team of workhorses.
Okay, and PSG, are they like the team that they built is a high-pressing, young, aggressive team. We look like that under Ange when we started. Yeah, that's how they running around the city pit. That's how we look. Kind of. If you're not wearing your glasses and you're squinting, that's how. Listen, that's not the point. Semantics. The point remains, right? The main point I'm trying to make is that essentially you cannot overly critical. I really managed to save myself there.
To be honest, Jay, I must have missed that game with him when we looked like PSG. I must have missed that one.
Hey, listen, I've got to be entirely honest, James. You not being visible on the camera and just hearing your giggle was top draw just then. Sorry.
Yeah. But listen, I'm just saying. I hear what you're saying defensively about Son, but offensively, yes, PSG shows that if you have all of your players buying into what they're trying to do and you have a really good pressing strategy, but they're all very highly technical and all that sort of stuff, you can do certain things. I think other managers, they try and play to their players' strengths. And I think with Ange, we had a system where Ange had his system and he wanted players to play within the system, and however they played. Whereas, say, even under Poch and other things, we used to have a system that would elevate the players that we've got. And I think that Son potentially and other players can be the beneficiary of a system platforming their strengths rather than this is our system, you need to play in it.
If you platform everybody's strengths, then you end up with a team of individuals. At some point, you have to have people that are doing things that are uncomfortable. Lukey, I want to just quickly bring you in, mate, because you've been very quiet, mate. Listen, I know you're relatively nascent to the content game, bro, and you're a wonderful guy, but you have to grab your moment when you got 5 other baddies on the show, mate. Like everyone's, as soon as there's a breath, as soon as the person who's talking takes a breath,
they're pushing me out, Sean. They're pushing me out, mate.
You know what I'm saying, Luca? You got to grab your seconds, mate. When someone's breathing, when there's an inhalation, jump in. Otherwise, you're never going to get the chance, buddy. That's the way it works here. You know what you're saying, mate? Is Sonny the guy or not?
Again, it's a tough one because his stats are pretty decent for over the last 2 seasons. What I think Jay was getting at was the fact that James said that he hasn't done anything for 2 years, but scoring 17 goals in a Premier League season is pretty decent by anyone's standards, let alone someone who's on a decline. So I can understand the reasons to keep him. I think as well I think we do need to look at that left wing as an upgrade. But for me, I wanted the right winger to be upgraded, and I feel like we're going to go on to it potentially about Kudus, but I think Kudus is going to play on the right-hand side. The centre midfielders where we needed to improve. I just didn't think we would go and get a Morgan Gibbs-White and a Kudus, to be honest with you. I thought we would be going and getting half-decent players as opposed to players of that sort of level. So I like Son. I'd be happy if he stuck around, but I do think we need to upgrade it. If we don't upgrade it this summer, then we absolutely have to be doing it next year.
Fair enough, mate. Danny, I'm going to come to you as well because you've been fairly quiet as well, my man, which is an unusual thing for you, mate. You usually start chiming in as well. Unless you got something more to say about the Sonny, mate, I'm going to give you the first introductory comments on Kudus. Time to talk about him because there was this story out today that Chelsea only walked away from the deal with Kudus, not because Kudus only wanted Tottenham, but actually because Kudus only wanted to play in the 10. And that Tottenham were the only team that said okay. What's your take on that?
I don't believe that for 1 second because for me, Kudus said it in his own interview that he's a proper winger. He basically said he's a right winger. That's his best position, right? He's the guy saying it himself. What I've seen at him when he went to Ajax, I watched him when he came to Ajax. I watched him all through his Ajax years, and I watched him obviously at West Ham. Right? He's someone who can play across that middle. And if he really wants to, he can. He started at Ajax on the left. That's where he actually started playing. Then he was playing in his last season. He played a bit more like centrally, but as a striker a lot of the time, right? That was before Anthony had that amazing season. Well, it's actually when Anthony left. That's when he thrived, right? For me, I think he's the perfect right winger. I think that's why we bought him. I think that's where he's going to play. And I think he'll only cover the other positions if we have proper serious injury problems or there may be a tactical, a tactical decision by Frank to change him in a game or against a certain team. He might play him somewhere else. But I think his main position is going to be right wing. And the guy, like I said, the guy said it himself. So I just think it's all smoke and mirrors. All that. So
the story out from Chelsea content was
rubbish.
A load of bollocks.
For me, Sean, it's a bit like PR. It's like because the guy they didn't get their man. Oh yeah, because he said this. Do you know what I mean? It's like Marinakis with what he's doing with Morgan Gibbs-White right now.
Salty bollocks. Yeah,
that's all it is.
All right. So on that basis, then, Danny, if Kudus is coming in to start. And Jay made the point a minute ago that we've got 145 left wingers, but you can make the same argument that a lot of those left wingers are also right wingers. Like Solomon is a left winger, right winger. Mikey Moore's played on both sides. Sonny not so much, although he can. Certainly, Richarlison's a left winger, but there's a lot of right wingers in our squad on paper as well, or potential right wingers. But Brennan Johnson. What's the stack rank? First game that we got on Friday. I think it's Friday or Saturday morning. I'm going to Reading to watch us in our first pre-season. What's the first team 11 that you would like to see, or that you think is going to be in terms of the forward line? Like, how do you see the pecking order of those forwards at the moment?
Well, for me, I don't mind whoever's starting. I think probably Tel will start as a left winger. I think Kudus will start as a right winger and. Striker probably going to be Solanke unless it's going to be one of the youngsters. But for me, it doesn't really bother me who starts. It's a preseason game. For me, the biggest thing I want to see Kudus start, and I think he will start as a right winger. And you're just touching on a little bit about like the amount of right wingers we've got, but the reality is, yes, we've got a lot of wingers in general, but do we have quality wingers? No. Kudus is the quality winger, right? Yes, Brennan Johnson has got great stats, but he's not a quality player because the system we played under Ange suited his runs into the box, these tap-ins and this kind of like FIFA-style football where you go to the byline, cut it back and tap it in sort of football, right? But he's not going to be like Kudus where he can beat his man, go 2-3, score on both feet. You've seen it. Kudus can smash it in from both feet, right? So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do on that right wing, and he's going to excite us. And for me, it's about quality.
I was going to say, like, in terms of, I think a lot of people not misunderstand, but underestimate the profile of Kudus and what he brings to the team in terms of what he allows the left wing to be able to do. Like, I always think that Brennan Johnson should be looking at Raheem Sterling and being like, this is what an elite, like, this is the best version of what you can potentially do if you really focus and concentrate as a player. Because when he's going to play with the biggest issue I found last season was that if you play in Son and you play in Johnson or Werner or anything like that, where's the playmaker attribute in the wingers? None of them are playmaker wingers. They're all running a straight line wingers. Now we've got a dribbler who can beat a man. For example, when Kulusevski plays as well, you know, that's going to allow us to have a lot of impact. But I think Kudus will have a lot of responsibility creatively in the team. And I think Gibbs-White is definitely an indication of, okay, you've got a couple of guys there who can play through balls. Now the logic is, who are the runners onto the end of it? Obviously, he likes Solanke. Solanke scored, was it 7 Premier League goals?
Yeah.
He got outscored by Mikel Merino. We have to, like, obviously, amongst friends,
So did Son.
say that. I'll never admit it out in the public where other rival fans can hear me. But amongst friends, I can be like, the guy got outscored by Mikel Merino. That's a damning indictment on both Ange and Solanke. The two of them, both of you, how you were positioned and what you did with that position. I'm annoyed with both of you, right? So I'm going to say now, Frank can use this guy more like Iraola used him. Further up the pitch, stay up the pitch. Why are you trying to do Benzema? You know, Benzema.
Who, Johnson, do you mean? You mean Johnson?
I'm talking about Solanke now. I'm saying,
Solanke.
Why are you dropping deep? Like, just stay up the pitch. Stay on the last man.
I think we all know that, Jay. Like Solanke was underutilized with we didn't play to his strengths, right? We know that Ange didn't play to his strengths, and I think Frank will get more out of Solanke. I still don't think he's going to be this, like, let's just say Ekitike or level of striker or something like that. In my opinion,
he's got the listen. The thing is he's not, and I'm intrigued to hear what Sava and Luke think about Solanke and his ceiling. I think I like Richalison. I only think his issue is availability. No, I'm sorry, his issue is availability. Like, I think if just based off like what he gives us. If you said to me, I will give you him for 30 Premier League games, and I'll just base it off the previous couple of years.
And he still won't score more than 12 goals in a Premier League season. It's like Sean said, he's a cock block.
That's only because of injuries. But that's only because of injuries, Danny. Like,
no, that's excuses. No,
it's excuses. I'm a positive
you know what,
fan.
right?
This is what I do. It's called context.
Jay, right?
You call it excuses. I call it context.
If you actually look, I think I looked at the stat a couple of weeks back, right? The amount of games he's played, he's missed 50% of the games that he's in total appearances he's had for Spurs. 50% of them he's missed, right? That's because of injuries. And I didn't want him to begin with at this club because of his injury records and because he's only ever had one season in his professional career where he scored more than 13 league goals in a season.
His injury record at Everton was exceptional. His injury record, he only missed the season we signed him, he missed 13 games. But before that, he'd never missed more than 5 games.
It wasn't even that, Luke. The fact that the guy has never scored more than 13 league goals in his whole career in any season in football.
I think this is ingenuous, man. I think it's good because you're talking about Richarlison. By the way, I don't rate. But when has Solanke done that other than one season?
I agree. That's why I didn't want Solanke either.
Can I chime in? Can I chime in? Can I just call it what it is? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Right? I'm sorry.
Football podcast.
What are we doing here? Right? Let's be fair. Right? Dominic Solanke and Richarlison are what they are. They've both had the careers they've had. They've both had very, very underwhelming careers. They've both had very underwhelming goal ratios. They've both had very, very underwhelming abilities to score goals regularly. And that's not knocking them. That's just who they are, right? You've got Dominic Solanke. You've got Dominic Solanke, who's got 38 Premier League goals in his career at the age of he's 28 in September. Right, you've got Richarlison, whose best ever season. He's 28 as well. His best ever season is 13 goals at Everton.
What do you have against 28-year-olds, Sava?
Hang on, what?
What do you have against 28-year-olds?
Because by 28,
the market's got against 28-year-olds.
By 28, I want that if we're buying strikers at this age, they've got to be proven. They've got to be prolific. And when you look at these against players you've had in the past, I'm not going to go straight to Kane because it's ridiculous, right? But I look at players you've had in the past. These guys, they're not up to it. These guys are strikers that I would expect teams at mid-table to have. Now, we can sit and we can argue they work hard, they press, they do this, but injuries, but this, but that. But their careers haven't lied. their entire careers have not lied. In the Premier League, they've both got like goal ratios of something like a goal every 3.7, 3.8 games for a reason. That's not to do with injury. That's to do with who they are as footballers. They both work hard. They both press. They've both got that skill set. Neither of them, for me, should be the number one striker at a club like Tottenham Hotspur if we've got any ambition. Solanke for me.
Okay, now that's now obviously I do like. I'm gonna. Sorry.
Hang on. For me, someone like Solanke, that should be your second choice striker, right? So people can argue whatever they want, but all they're arguing is one decent season he's had in his career. He's had one decent season. And what we saw from him last year, I'm not saying that Frank won't get more goals out of him because he will. But what we saw last year, people always go, am I underwhelmed? I wasn't underwhelmed by Solanke. This is exactly the player I thought we were getting. A bumbling guy up top that sometimes has a good touch, sometimes doesn't. Sometimes is good in the air. But if Sean, you like the data, if you actually go and look at the data of how many times he loses the ball in the final third, his foot sometimes it hits
it's
him.
Like work rate doesn't exist in your mind though, mate. Like he was asked to do a certain specific role last season.
Hang on. I said that. Work rate's phenomenal. I'm not doubting that. But we have to ask ourselves who we are. Are we buying a striker and talking about their phenomenal work rate? Or are we going to buy a striker and go, that guy finishes. That guy is lethal.
He can finish, but last year he wasn't asked. He was asked to do more things that I've said it 1,000 times, and I will say it until I'm long in the tooth. I think that 60% of the goals that Brennan Johnson scored should actually be allocated under Dominic Solanke's tally. Because
that's one way to boost his GA. I hear it, sure.
But his career's not lied. As I said to you, I knew we'd do this. We sit and argue. We sit and argue why these players are better than they are. There's a reason, right? There's a reason why they've got the numbers they've got in their careers, because they are the next level down from what the big clubs want.
Yeah, if you're comparing Solanke to an Isak, or for what it's worth, and a fair comparison actually is this market has shown that Arsenal, even though we were mugging them off and laughing at their tears and all that stuff, they ended up getting Gyökeres, a guy that scored 97 and 103 or whatever.
For less than what we paid for Solanke.
For a lot less, by the way. £43 million
guarantee. Sporting ain't finished with them yet. Let's not be hasty.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so can I ask a question?
So that actually plays into Sava's argument here. But my argument about Dom Solanke is that he has had a trajectory like that, right? He's done better every year. In Bournemouth, well, until this season, but the season that's just finished, he was asked to play a role that, like I say, was the Kyogi Furuhashi role at Celtic, where Furuhashi ended up getting a bag of goals. That's just because of the quality of the opposition. But Dom Solanke, you put him in the right chance. I don't know. I haven't got the stats in front of me. I'm happy to be mudded on this, but I would hazard a guess that his conversion ratio is fairly accurate. It's fairly good.
Yeah.
I feel like we're watching a different striker because listen, and this is the thing. I can see like the comments in the chat. What cracks me up is if I say Richarlison's not good enough, I'm a terrible fan. Right? If I don't say I want better,
no, people are on your side, mate. People on your side. They're all saying that he's trash.
Hang on. Look, the problem is we've all supported Spurs many years enough to know that this is the worst group of strikers we've had on our books for 20 years.
I remember Gary Doherty playing up front.
Sure, but Jay, you might remember that, but you clearly don't. You remember something all those years ago, but you don't remember my sentence from 15 seconds ago. As I said, in the last 20 years, right? This is the worst. This is the worst.
It's a fair criticism.
This is the worst. This is the worst selection of strikers we've had at the club for 20 years. Right? Now, people can say it's not.
Yeah,
look at their careers. Look at their careers.
So 20 years is 2005, right? So who was that? Who was our strike? So that includes Berbatov, that includes Keane, that includes Defoe, that includes Darren Bent, that includes.
Well, didn't we have Darren Bent and Fraser Campbell at one point as well?
Was Solanke or Pavlyuchenko?
When was Helder Postiga?
Pavlyuchenko was sick.
Postiga was
guys, I think you know my general point. If we're talking about if we're talking about we're a Champions League football team now.
Yeah.
If fans are happy that is our strike options, I've got no problem. They can be happy with it.
Well, that's my point, Saba. That's my point, though. That's not. Sorry. Just quickly. I 100% agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I think Dom Solanke is a very good player. Maybe we disagree on that. Yeah. I think he's a really good player. I think he's got a lot of potential. I 100% agree with you that Richalison is absolute dog shit. I thought that before he signed for us. I think the guy's absolute trash. I know
he's got better stats than Solanke in the Premier League.
I know he might do, but also the entire club was pivoting to play to his strengths, and Solanke was asked to play to his strengths, which allowed for other things to happen. But going back, not to go full 360 here, but that's why I made the point about whether or not Morgan Gibbs-White is worth worrying about, because 60 million that you're spending on him could be 60 million and a bit more that you're spending on somebody else, like an Ekitike, like a Wissa, I don't want to go down this path particularly, but maybe you guys will disagree, but a Dusan Vlahovic is available. Ollie Watkins is available.
I'll take a punt on Vlahovic.
There's a fuck ton of... There's never been more strikers of top draw level available than right now, and we need a striker that is better than what we have. I 100% agree with you, Saba, but that's why I said that Morgan Gibbs-White, for me, is an opportunity from the club.
I understand, but Sean, can you get rid of either Solanke or Richarlison? That's the problem. Well, you've got Solanke.
You don't know until you bring one of them in, and then you let one of them know that you're surplus, your third choice.
So I completely understand, but then that's a massive risk on the club, right? That's a massive risk.
They won't do that. They won't do that.
But are we doing that same thing by bringing in by Morgan Gibbs-White and saying to Bissouma, you're no longer necessary?
No, because the difference is, look. The difference is Morgan Gibbs-White goes into that team, can play multiple positions, solves a homegrown issue as well for the future. He will play immediately. If you go and he plays in an area where you can have 6, 7, 8 players in the squad. Problem is, if you go and buy, let's just for argument's sake, we buy Dusan Vlahovic. Just for argument's sake, you go and buy Dusan Vlahovic, you buy him in, and then you turn around and go to Solanke and Richarlison. Hey, you're not first choice. Mm-hmm. Richarlison's got form for the last 2 years of saying, "I want to stay."
I'm not leaving. Yeah,
right. I'm not leaving. We're not finished, right? He's not. And if you're not leaving
in a World Cup year, though, is the leverage not in the Tottenham stand to say, "Hey, listen, you are not going to play unless there's injuries."
Yeah, of course.
But then you add 180k on a week that he's on, and you go, "Is it a risk worth taking?"
Who's on 180? He's not on 180k a week.
He's on like 150 or something like that.
Richarlison?
Yeah.
No, he's
not. I've got it here.
85k a week.
Yeah, something like that.
I've got it here. Richarlison. No, hang on. No, Richarlison is on
80, 85. I'm sure.
I feel like it was 100 or something.
Where on earth is he on this list? Why is he not on this list anywhere? He's not showing on the Spurs apology list.
We've been hacked. The hackers are listening to our conversation and he's real time fucking with us.
He's on 90k. He's on 90k.
90k. There you go. Yeah.
Sean, I agree with you. By the way, for what it's worth, Sean, I completely agree with you. And I wish Spurs would do this more. Bring in players and then turn around and go, guys, sorry, we've just signed them. You're going to have to find another club. The problem
that's what we've done with Morgan Gibbs-White. If Morgan Gibbs-White comes in and he's intended to play as an 8, then surely that is the demonstration of saying to Bissouma, I know your heels are in the sand, bro, but you are 6th choice. You're 6th choice. How many minutes are you going to get?
It's not just Bissouma you're saying that to. He might be saying that to Sarr. He might be saying that to Gray.
Fine. Exactly. Whatever. Whoever. That's fine.
But we've only got 2 strikers.
Yeah, but if you bring in a third, then you say to the guy that's bottom of the pecking order, look, sure. You can say if you we can't force you out.
Then you've got to have a buyer.
It's a World Cup year, bro.
Yeah. Richarlison will want to
have a buyer.
He'll want to play, but I think unless Frank tells him to get out, that's the thing about Spurs. Like, I really do feel like, obviously, and I appreciate Richie for the all the stuff, like heartfelt stuff, But I do think if he hadn't have had the some of the personal issues he had, the club might have been a bit more forceful in terms of trying to get him out. We're not that forceful when it comes to getting players out. We're like, do you want to go? And they're like, kind of like it here. And we're like, well, we kind of like having you here too. So let's do nothing. So that's kind of how we've operated for the last few years, which is fine.
Jay, you don't. Again, we don't know that, right? This is the problem.
I was giving you like a kiddie, colourful, flowery
Sure,
version.
but Jay,
I'm sure there's a bit more.
Jay, you know when we've,
I'm not going.
You know when we've debated in the past about the caliber of players that Spurs bring in, and you always defend these players. What you're seeing now is a lot of these players that Spurs have brought in that aren't that great, right, and put them on decent money. Now trying to find a club for them is very difficult because you've got fans say things like, just sell him to Saudi, just sell him to Turkey. The player has to want to go, right? The player has to want to go.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. You've got other clubs from around Europe that won't be able to afford those wages. Now you're saying, okay,
right. Well, I don't know whether the option could be. Sorry, Sav, I'm not going to interrupt you. There's been a few super chats for ages that I've got to just quickly chime through. But I actually think that there might be a solution there where you do a loan. If Richalison really doesn't want to go, maybe you do a loan fee or whatever, and let him go on that basis. But just quickly, super quick, and I'll come back to you guys. The super sticker train rather is still in full effect. We're stopping off at Paul Langley's home again. Good to see you, Paul. Thank you very much, my man. Dave Jones has also sent one in. Choo to you, Dave Jones. Are we going to Wales? Are we picking you up in Wales? Where are we picking you up? Let us know where we're picking you up. We're going to get you over. We'll get the train over to your way. As same goes for Jeff Bargery. Thank you very much, mate. Haven't seen you before, buddy, but I do appreciate the super sticker. You're a member of the show as well, mate. So you must have been unless it's a new member, then you must have been a recipient of one of Blaine Devlin's giveaways. But I really appreciate you. Coys NY with a 199 again. Thank you very much, Coys in New York. Let me know. I lived in New York for a couple of years. If I'm entirely honest, mate, it was the worst 2 years of my life, but I did love the city. It was quality. Super chat from Westside Hoodie that says, I want to see Son rotate with Solanke at striker. Stelrich. Son isn't great on the wing anymore, but his finishing is his best attribute. When he's confident, mate, I would completely agree with you. But I think that we saw an absolute deficit in his confidence last year. He had a lot of chances and he shit the bed quite a few times. I don't know what happened with him last year.
You're not allowed to say that, Sean. You're not allowed to say that.
No. Well, it is what it is, mate. I say a lot of things I'm not allowed to say. Apparently, I've really offended Lubo. He was going to come on, but he heard me say earlier that if he says someone said, "When's Lubo coming on?" Sean, are you going to be drunk and have an argument? I said, I won't. It doesn't matter what I've drunk, but if he says donut things, I'll call him a donut. Apparently, Lubo's not very happy with me. He said I was in the background, and I said to him, "Come on, mate. Come on, have a chat. It's a bit of banter."
There'll be plenty of time for the Daniel Levy manifesto another time. Because what I'm trying to say is, I'm joking. If you watch the show, I'm joking. I love you.
I love Lubo as well, mate. Come on, mate. You're being sensitive. You're being a sensitive sausage. Come on, tell me why I'm a donut, mate. It's all banter. Just quickly, Dave Jones, we'll stop him off again. Wherever you're from, Dave, let us know where you're from, mate. We're picking you up twice, mate. You're like Clapham Junction tonight. We appreciate you very much. And also, Andy Lester, choo to you, Andy. I appreciate you. We all appreciate you, mate. Thank you very much indeed. So, where were we, guys? What were we talking about?
So, I think we were on. Where were we?
We were talking about Richarlison, I think.
I think
selling players.
Oh, leaving players, selling players, yeah.
Yeah. So, if we look at the players we're looking to get rid of and stuff like that, I understand. The striker market is one of those interesting markets where you got to speculate a lot now.
Toughest market right now.
It's a tough market, and the thing is that you got a couple of stocks there. They're not been doing the best over the last couple of years. They're 30% down from all-time highs. However, I'm optimistic that there's a bull run coming for both of these guys, and I'm saying to you, right? Look at Solanke. Look at Richarlison. Sonny as a 9, and messed that up too because he was transitioning Son into a nice 9.
Jay, before you'll be telling us next, you'll be telling us that Alejo Veliz will come back and absolutely tear it up.
Well. You should be looking forward to this show Under the Lights where we delve into what went wrong or By the Dip. My new season about Tottenham players who have gone off the rails. By the Dip. We'll show how we can put them back together again. But no, listen, Son as a 9, it was work, and I always thought that some of these players like a Ronaldo, like a Di Natale, like a Griezmann, it's a well-trodden path of wingers moving towards striker, adapting the game, stuff like that. And I thought Ange kind of had it in the first season. And then he bought Solanke, and he completely, Son as a 9 was done. And it was back to doing those kind of things. And I do think that that when we look at these players, there is a romanticism about Thomas Frank can get the most out of these players, blah, blah, blah. But it is okay to say that the limitations of these players are the limitations of these players. And they will show themselves again next season through a variety of means. And the optimist in me wants to think that won't happen. But I do think that platforming something and positioning it in the right way so it looks really great. It's like a relationship. You meet someone in a relationship, starts off amazing, and then all of a sudden she starts seeing the person you truly are, the person you've been hiding from her. And that's what happens when players you get under a new manager. And eventually some of these players are going to revert to type. And it's going to be important to understand which of these players can go forward and improve at a good level, and which of them we should just, cut our losses on. And I think a Bissouma, Richalison, Son, all of these players are in that conversation. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I'm not going to begrudge people saying that they should be sold or they should be kept. I think because if you extend the why not give him another chance to one player, I cannot then begrudge somebody else who says, why not extend it to this player? Do you see what I mean?
It depends on how many managers and how long they've been around the club, though, doesn't it? Because some might have just had the one manager in Ange, and then you go, we'll give him another chance. Whereas some have had Conte, some have had Mourinho, so it depends on how long they've been around, I guess.
Mm.
But from my point of view, they all need to go. They've all been given enough time, and by that I mean, if we're talking about Bentancur, if you're talking about Bissouma, you've got to add Bentancur. If you add in Bentancur, then you've got to pick the likes of Richarlison. That all of these players that have been here and had time to prove it, they haven't done it. They have to be sold. Whether there is a good player in there or not, I'm sorry, I'm not bothered. I'm not prepared to take that risk anymore. I think you've had your opportunity, you fluffed it, move on, let's go again. Because otherwise you get stuck in this sort of circle of keeping these bang average players. I said it before. Like Hugo Lloris for me is the prime example. He was an absolute legend, and he was turned into the villain because they just kept him and kept him and kept him. And that's one of my biggest criticisms of the likes of Fabio Paratici, where everybody loves him. The geezer's never been able to sell players. Even back at his old clubs, he's never been able to sell. It's just one of those problems that I feel like him and us as a club have always done. And I do believe that our fans are partly to blame for that, because the sentimental value with Son, and I'm just picking Son here, we didn't hear Man City players say that about Mahrez. We didn't hear him say that about any of their players. It's like, you know what, you're out, next guy in, like move forward. This is how a big club works. I believe
that Kevin De Bruyne went. A lot of them said that he should have at least another year with Kevin De Bruyne, and he was like last year. He was obviously when he's on the pitch, he's superb, but he missed so many things with injuries and everything else.
I also saw a lot of them saying like no, and then when they got the lad from AC Milan, it was all like, yeah, okay, fair enough, yeah, I understand it.
So that comes down to if you get the replacements in. So that's what I'm saying. It's all about we have to judge this at the end, because if we go and get the 6, we go and get a left wing, then it's like, oh, hang on a minute, maybe we haven't made the mistakes that we thought we'd made, because
I'm only basing mine on previous experience of the last 30 years I've been following Tottenham. They don't do that. They don't act like a big club. When was the last time we sold a player at his peak and then reinvested that money into another player at their peak?
Or Gareth Bale, and we got in 17 peak players. That was all very, very good.
Exactly.
Aren't we saying this as though it's a one blanket rule for everything? Like Thomas Frank's going to have a look at certain players. It doesn't matter if they've been here 3 years, 4 years, 5. Certain players, Thomas Frank's going to look at and go, I want this player. This is my type of player. I've seen him. Other players, he won't. I don't think it's a blanket rule. However, having said that,
sorry, go on, Sav, sorry.
Just quickly, having said that, James, and you know me, there's no one that I would wake up tomorrow and cry over them leaving. Like, do you know what I mean? If Thomas,
I agree, mate.
I don't want this player,
I mean, if Tel left, you would.
Who?
If Tel left, you would.
But for me personally, though, like the bit I don't get about like obviously I don't know if you're talking about the players that we've existingly got. But if Frank needs more time to look at Richarlison to see if he's good enough, I worry that Frank is the right manager for the job, because I've seen enough for a long time to see that Richarlison is absolutely dreadful. What is Frank going to have a look at that we haven't seen for the last 5 years?
Well, actually, there's a question there, right, James? And the question I would ask is, and I asked it about Ange Postecoglou, and I think, to be honest, at the time when I first asked it, I think people were going, "Oh, come on, like what are you talking about?" And the question I asked was like, "Are people acclimated? Are they institutionalized to the standard in which they play, and then they therefore look at certain players on a different sort of trajectory versus what you need to be for the next level?" And I just wonder, this is maybe why people like Conte and Mourinho wanted players that Tottenham couldn't provide, because they knew what it would take to get to that next level, to be able to win something and to be able to compete at the Premier League. And Ange Postecoglou came to Tottenham and said, "I don't need a coaching staff. Everywhere I've been, I've just gone by myself and been given what I've been given and worked with it. And look how that worked out." He was looking at certain players, was happy to bring certain players. He was happy to have Timo Werner twice, and look how that worked out. And you have to ask the same question about Frank. He hasn't done it at this level. So, is there a chance that he's looking at players with a Brentford mindset rather than a Tottenham mindset and the ambition of what Tottenham want to get to, and thinking, I know what I need? And does he really, is he thinking about that?
He's an intelligent, astute man. He's a very intelligent, astute man. Look at the two players he's already brought in. Better than what we've got. I don't see any problem with that at all. Sorry, my quick answer on that.
And to support quickly that Sava point is that regardless of what you think, the players he's working with at Tottenham are much better quality than the players he's had to work with before.
Sure.
So already he's working with much higher quality players. Then you also look at when he's had quality players, what did he get out of them? And he got a lot out. Like if you look at, like, say, Eriksen, since he came back from the dead, there's no time that he's played better than that period at Brentford. Like, he was just amazing. And Maddison should be looking at that thinking, like, Frank's going to help me a lot here, because what he did with Damsgaard, what he did with Eriksen. Listen, if you're not Maddison, if you're not walking out with our player of the season, that's on you. That's not going to be on Frank. That's going to be on you, because this guy took Damsgaard, who was literally being said, okay, this guy's a flop. Like, it's not going to happen for him here. And he turned him around, and I'm just saying that, I completely agree with what Sav is saying. First two signings, you look at other managers, Ange might say, you might accept this player or that player. Very clear. Give me Kudus, give me Gibbs-White. I don't even know who he's offered. But if he comes out with those two players, then I'm like, that's all right. He's able to convince these players in conversations that this is the right place for them. I was a little concerned we might lack a little razzle dazzle, but this is the thing about when you do deals, the dopamine hits and you lose your control. Not Sava, obviously, he's a Jack Bauer type figure, but the rest of us, the rest of us,
That's why I don't know if you noticed, Jay, but earlier on in the stream, I put you next to Sava because I think there's a little bit of a bromance growing there between.
Definitely. We can definitely do an odd couple buddy cop drama. It's got money written all over it. Didn't like each other to start off with, but after a gushing respect and one of them saves somebody from dying, then Netflix, get in touch. But the point of looking at just this situation about what Frank's trying to do and kudos and the players that we're looking, he's bringing in quality, he's convincing them to join. We lacked a bit of razzle dazzle, but when I look at who Ange was signing, look at Dragusin. You know what? Yeah, I'm not going to slander Ange, but look at Dragusin. Yeah, they wanted Barde from Seville as the backup to that deal if it didn't go through. It looked at one stage like we weren't going to get the deal done, right? But then Ange kind of convinced him. He convinced Tel. he's able to convince. But like, I'm almost like convincing Gibbs-White and Kudus. I actually think is probably a harder convincing job than any of the players we signed under Ange.
Well,
I would pay devil's advocate to that and say Van der Ven was being linked with Liverpool. James Maddison was being linked with a lot of players as well. So I don't think that they're easy to get over the line.
They're not easy, but I do think that Gibbs-White being linked to City, I think obviously Van der Ven with the Liverpool point is a good point, but Gibbs-White being courted by Pep City, there's feasibility for him to stay another year. You know, go in with one season to go and make a move. But he's like, nah, I'll go Tottenham. Kudus, obviously, we know he had a number of different clubs that were interested. Chose Tottenham. Now, I'm not trying to say that like Maddison and Van der Ven weren't difficult. I think Maddison...
Vicario was on the verge of joining Inter Milan before he joined us.
I think...
On the verge.
I think James Maddison
they were trying to get Onana out quick enough so they could sign him, and they couldn't get rid of Onana in time, and then Spurs come in.
It's also
and I don't want to say that Ange didn't have pull, like, and Ange wasn't able to convey. Ange was an orator of men. Do you know what I mean? Like he was.
Ange was dealt with from Only Fools and Horses. Let's get it right.
No, bro. Listen, don't do that. Don't.
Let's get it right. The guy could sell anything.
He was a massive fraud. A massive
absolute.
But hang on, we're forgetting that when Ange first came in, we didn't have Europe, so we're in a different situation, like completely different now. So we should be targeting better level players. Do you know what I mean? The season where we had that overhaul, we lost Kane the day before the start of the season. Everyone within the club probably knew he was going.
Hang on. Are you defending Ange's tenure?
Absolutely not. Ange always wins.
Ange was the guy. Ange was the guy, the salesman who drives around in a Ferrari or like a second tier Ferrari, drives around in a drop top Mercedes. He's gone and got like a Gucci suit from some outlet center. He's pretending to everybody that he's a first class millionaire, and then right before the tax man comes, he goes and pulls the lotto ticket out of his arsehole and wins the 6-ball roller. Like, he got so lucky, his legacy can roll on. Guy was a giant fucking fraud of the highest order.
No, Sean, listen. I gotta.
Major fraud.
But the thing is like, what you need to understand is that, like, I want to use like the example of people are in the right place at the right time. You say he's a massive fraud. I'm gonna flip that.
Massive fraud.
I'm gonna say in terms of managers who you got to look at getting there. You got to look at getting over the line, getting the monkey off your back. I feel like. It's almost like you needed a manager like Ange.
We didn't
need a tactical manager.
Look, he is the giant fraud that can put the right way. Dude, I have seen so many people in my life, in my career, that are him personified. Okay, and no disrespect to Australians and no disrespect to Greek, because like Greek Australians, I spent 3 years of my life there. I absolutely love Australians, but that guy personifies so much of my experience in sales in Australia. Absolute frauds who move the goalposts, move the needle every chance. Like, they find every excuse. They think that you forget what they said last week, last month. Hang on, I'm almost finished my rant. Right? He was the geezer that could absolutely spin a yarn and could convince anybody to buy a deal. He could convince anybody, as long as it required one sale. But he was never the guy that got the renewal ever, because they don't know how to back it up. He can't. He was so unbelievably fortunate for it to go the way he went. And by the way, he didn't deprioritize the Premier League. He didn't deprioritize one thing for another. He deprioritized his philosophy, his goalposts. He deprioritized his whole heart and soul, because everything that he said he was about, we will never change. It's who we are, mate. As soon as it mattered, we couldn't have been further away with who we were. It was ridiculous. And the 10 games that saved him at the start of his entire tenure, It wasn't who we were then. No one knew who we were then. That was the difference. No one knew who we were. Then it was who we are. And that was when it became obvious that he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. And then right at the end, it wasn't who we are anymore. We were going to be something else because his reputation was on the line and he managed to get it done. Let's never talk about that bozo ever again. I respect what he did to a degree, but he was a fraud of a manager.
Sean, I gotta tell you something, mate. Look, let me correct myself. Right? Jay, let me talk for a second, mate. I don't usually win things.
Why is your camera off?
I always win things in my second year.
He's having to do something with his face to pull his voice.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Oh, Luke, don't do that, mate. Don't do that, buddy. We all know the guy. The respectable jersey of the big man at Tottenham Hotspur. He was so out of his depth at the Premier League level. Come on, let's be honest.
No, listen. I gotta just say no. Listen, first of all, thank you so much, Ange. Ange, if you're watching the show, I'm not like these charlatans. I love you, brother. I love you.
Like and subscribe.
What I'm trying to say here, Sean, and this is what I want to object about it, is that I'm going to say you can look at it from the way you look at it, and I'm not saying that you're wrong because you're a smart man, and it's a logical point of view. At certain points in time, it was clear that what Ange needed, we didn't have. And I do think it's also capable. Yeah, you could say that, but you could look at the tactical. Like I look at like Hansi Flick, for example, and he's obviously to me a better manager than Ange. But I saw Hansi Flick with the Germany national team, and I saw what it looked like when he didn't have the players he needed to deliver what he needed, and it was a mess. No, hold on. What I'm trying to say.
And signed these players, so to not have the players that he needed.
What I'm trying to say is
that's madness. He signed all these players. So the fact that he didn't have these players.
You don't concede that many goals because you don't have your players. I'm
not trying to say that Ange didn't have massive tactical limitations that were massively exposed the moment players got injured.
They were exposed before, and I've got the stats. So I'm not.
Which you can argue were as a result of his tactics. I'm saying
this is not true. This is not true.
It is true. It is true. Ange was exposed more quickly because of injuries.
No, Jay. Hang on. Let me. Jay, sorry. Jay, this is the problem. When people just say injuries, do you actually know the facts and the data about when he had the injuries and when he didn't?
No, but I'm not trying to say that Ange wasn't limited and wasn't out of his depth. I'm saying he was exposed more quickly because of the injuries.
But that's not true. That's again, Jay. I'm telling you.
Either way, he was exposed, though, right?
I've got the facts and data, Jay.
But Savo, your point. I don't think we're not necessarily. We're both going to the same direction. You just want to get there way faster than me. I'm I'm taking
I just don't fill it with fluff in the middle.
No. Context is not fluff.
Let me finish.
He interrupts and he says, "Let me finish." All right, go on then. Go on then.
I tried starting a sentence about 15 minutes ago. The problem with this is people keep saying this thing about injuries. This man lost 34 in 66 Premier League games, right? I'm sorry. If it was one spell where we lost some games because of injuries, I'd say yes. But 34 in 66. Do you know when he had everyone fit at the beginning of last season, we lost 5 in 12 league games and it was our worst start to a season for 17 years. Mm-hmm. The problem you've got, Jay, is the tactics were exposed, whether it was Van der Ven and Romero, whether it was Gray and Davis, whether it was Dragusin and Danso. The tactics were exposed, but everyone still keeps saying it's only injuries. It's
Sava,
not.
Let me ask this, Sava. Let me ask this quickly, right? Do you think that David Moyes set up in management, right? When he went into management, right? Do you think that he went, I really want to be a boring bastard. I really want to play the most defensive football and never get out and never play football. Like his idea of playing this gung-ho level of football and just level of football, everybody in the world who has the opportunity to be a Premier League manager would love to play insightful, incisive, direct, gung-ho, beautiful, pretty football. The reality is nobody else does it for a reason, because it doesn't work. You can play good football if you are at the top of your game with the top squad in the league and you have the best of everything, then you can still do it. But even Pep doesn't go out of his way to be gung-ho. They still have discipline and they still have structure and they still have organization. Ange Postecoglou took that gig, took that job and treated it like he was playing roulette at the local casino, like the Melbourne, whatever it is, the Grand in Melbourne. It was a joke. After all, it was a joke. And what was the only thing funny about it was that most people didn't catch on. I didn't catch on for a long time. And then once upon a time, I went, hang about. I heard that excuse. I've just heard what you said. That makes absolutely no correlation to what he said 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago. He would dance his logic between any hoop he possibly could, similar to some YouTubers who I've apparently already offended tonight. But like the reality is that guy is so out of his depth at this level, and he got so lucky. And the reason why Daniel Levy will be a legend in my mind is because he made the right decision to keep him when he did, because it got the job done. But he made the right decision to sack him when he did. Otherwise, we would have another 12 months of absolute torture on our hands. He was an embarrassment in the end for me. Where's Jay gone? Has he disappeared?
I don't know.
I think he's bottled it.
Sure.
What are you saying? What are you saying? You got
haven't made him cry.
There. You got a cup of soup there, Danny.
No, I got a tea.
Oh, nice.
I got two, mate.
So how we boys? How we finishing this summer transfer? Is Morgan Gibbs-White going to be the last, or maybe not? But is he going to be the kind of the cornerstone of our window, or are we going to have another name that's going to make everybody sit up and go, Tottenham mean business?
Yeah, I think we're possibly going to have another name. I think Gibbs-White's not the only one we're working on. I think Gibbs-White's going to come in. I'm 99% sure that he's going to come in. I can't see it'll be something that we've never seen before, right? That would cause this deal to completely collapse in the realms of the reality that we're living in, right? If that doesn't go through based on what we already know, I think it's just an absolute farce, and I think the game is completely gone if this doesn't go through. Honestly, and I think we're in for maybe not, possibly another like even more ambitious signing like a Wharton, but if not, then I want to see someone like a Palhinha come in, or someone who's a quality player. Don't care how much it costs.
Would you rather Tottenham drop 80 million quid on an Adam Wharton, or 25 on a Palhinha, and then use the other 55 to go and get ourselves something a little bit special in a different area of the pitch?
If you're well, the only thing with Palhinha, because Palhinha is like 30, isn't he?
29, just turned 30. Yeah, just turned 30.
Okay, so he's got another couple years at top level, right? If that depends on how his body is and how he looks after himself, right?
Kind of sounds like you're talking yourself out of it.
No. I'm just saying, like he's a 30-year-old player, whereas Adam Wharton is someone who's like really young, so he's got like his whole career ahead of him, right? So he's got a lot more. And someone like Wharton, you could, someone like him, you could probably. Frank could shape him in the way he wants to shape him, right? But then the difference, the problem of going after someone like Wharton, as much as I want him out of the top of the list of players that we could bring into that role, is that it's like then it defeats the object of buying Archie Gray, right? It's like, well, then why did we spend 40 million on Archie Gray? So I don't know. I think then it just makes a big waste of money. So if we are going to go for, say, a Palhinha, then I don't see any reason why Tottenham can't go and get like another winger or a striker and spend 50-60 million pounds on a striker, in my opinion.
I hear a lot of people say things like, is he worth 70 million in Wharton, or is he worth 80 million? For me, I'm not really fussed on what he's worth and what he's not worth. If he's going to come in and do the job, then the job that we need, then yes, he's worth every penny that it costs. I see a lot of people say, if he goes over 80 million, I don't want him. Well, surely if he's the right man for the job, he's the right man for the job, regardless of the money. And for me, it'd be nice to actually get the right man for the job and not worry about the money. Like Kudos for me was the right man for the job. I wasn't worried about the 55 or 60 million, whatever it's going to cost. He's the right man for the job. And the same with Morgan Gibbs-White. People were saying 60 million was quite a lot. Who cares? If he's the right man for the job, he's the right man for the job. So for me, if we think that Adam Wharton is the guy over Palhinha, then we need to go get Adam Wharton.
But doesn't that... I agree in some way, but I don't feel that that's how professional football clubs work. Like, you know, we can't just turn around and go, okay, if you, let's just say, I don't know, let's say we had £100 million to spend left. You can't just turn around and go, right, whack all 80 million of it on Adam Wharton and forget everything else you need. Now, I'm not saying that's what we've got. I don't know. I don't think any of us on this stream know how much money we've got. But there isn't an endless pool of money. So I think if you were saying we've got another 300 million spend, fine, go and whack 80 million down on Wharton. I don't care. If you're saying we've got 100, 120, I don't want nearly all of that spent on Adam Wharton when we've got other positions that need to be bought. So that's where I agree with you, James, in essence, but you've got to think about the squad building. Is Adam Wharton at 80 million better than buying 3 really good players at 40 million that solve 2 or 3 places in the squad? I'm not sure. I like Wharton, by the way.
I agree with. I do agree with what you're saying. But for me, it would be nice for us to go out and get our first choice player who we actually want in that position. And then if it means we have to wait till January to get a striker or a left winger, then I'm okay with that. If it means you're getting a Morgan Gibbs-White, a Kudos, and a Wharton, that for me is like, yeah, I'm well happy with that. Not there's not one bone in my body that goes, God, if we didn't sign him, we could have signed 2 others. I would look at that and go, Levy, you've smashed it.
But you could
argue, but he wouldn't have he wouldn't have smashed it from building a squad, though. He would have smashed it from fulfilling one position. But
because we've already signed 2. I'm talking about this window. We've signed Morgan Gibbs-White and Kudos. If we was to spend the rest of our budget on one player in Wharton, for me personally, I think 3 first-team players coming in a window, I don't think you can ask for much more than that from Daniel Levy in one window, personally.
So, James, are you happy with Son starting left wing then?
Yeah, if we got Wharton, yeah.
Yeah, listen, guys, I love Adam Wharton, by the way. I think he's a brilliant player, but I think all of the reports we're hearing is that Palace want Declan Rice type numbers. Yeah. I think you've got to look and say in the rest of the world. But listen, if you've got 300 million, fine, 80 million on Wharton, you've got 220 left. But if you haven't, I think you've got to be smarter. Why not try and get a Palhinha on loan for a year? Wait for Wharton's number to come down. Go and get Douglas Luiz. I'm just spitballing, right? I feel like this.
If you've got 80 million to drop on a DM, why not go and get like test the waters for like a Kone or like one of these guys? Balaba's just got as little Premier League experience as Adam Wharton has. Like they're both good players, mate. But let's be honest, Adam Wharton's played 22 Premier League games.
I know.
Are we not doing the same thing here with it's he's got one England cap.
If you told me, Sean, if you told me you can go and get a Douglas Luiz, right, and a Paulinho on loan, I'd bite your hand off for it. I'll take that every single day this summer window.
And then go and get an Anthony Robinson as a left back rotation, or go and get a Wissa or whatever else. Like we are massively missing the point here. And people say to me all the time, "You don't rate Adam Wharton." That's not what I said. I think he's a great player. But he is not £80 million worth of player. And if we've got 80 million to drop, if you want to go and get a young up-and-coming player, go to Europe. Go to Europe.
I agree.
There's some monsters in Europe that will cost you 45, 50. Monsters.
The only reason they'd probably go
and get Kefran Thuram. I'd bite your fucking hand off. I'd rather pay 65 for Thuram than 80 for Adam Wharton all day and twice on Sunday. Same with Kone. Same with there's a dozen of them. Go Ezequiel Palacios at Leverkusen. There's a fire sale going on at Leverkusen right now. He's insane. Adam Wharton is a very good player, but he is not an 80
No,
million
he's not.
player.
I agree with
Kone at
that.
Roma?
I agree.
Isn't Kone at Roma?
What, Manu
Kone's at
Kone?
Roma. Kefren
Yeah,
Turan's
yeah.
at Juventus.
Yeah, and Roma are interested in Rios. So maybe there's a deal to be done there, unless they're going to pair the two.
It comes back down to scouting, Luke. It comes back down to scouting. Like last year, Thuram, Fofana, and Kone all moved for less than £30 million.
100%.
Like, and we were buying Archie Gray at 40 million. Like, it comes down to scouting. And
But
again,
do you think,
if
Sam,
we're Man City, go and pay
Go on.
whatever you want for Wharton. He's a good player. We're not there yet, and this is where it changes. Notice how we need this, and this. But if we put Wharton for 80 million with our budget, don't worry about everything else. I don't like that. I don't like that as a theory.
It's the reason why we're linked with Wharton is maybe because of the English quota, like the homegrown quota.
We're fine. We're absolutely fine. We're fine for homegrown. Do you
So
remember?
then,
Man City had that emotion just go, any English player will do. They went and how much they dropped 60 million quid on Calvin Phillips.
Yeah.
How did that work out?
Big waste of money. Like he was not worth that.
We're being like, all of a sudden we've gone from being penny wise and pound foolish to being like ridiculous, thinking that we have money to just burn now because we dropped a couple of a couple of big ones with
the thing is, the reality is, Sean, we know Spurs are not going to spend no more than, if they do go for Wharton, right, they ain't going to spend no more than 70 million, I reckon, if they go for it. And that's whether or not that's from what I know, the reported figure is around 20 million they want.
If I'm Palace, I bite your hand off
100%.
For 70 million quid for Adam Wharton.
That's why
3x your money in, what is it?
100%.
12 months or 24? 12 months, right?
12
and then
months,
go and get Hayden Hackney, which is perfect for their level, which would cost 25 million quid. If you're Palace right now, new owner coming.
If Palace got a bid from Spurs for 70 million pounds and they turn it down, they're fools, in my opinion. Because I think that's that money for someone like Adam Wharton, who's only had a year in the Premier League, is absolutely ridiculously insane. I think it's just ridiculous, right?
100%.
So and like people, and I know people been saying the reports that Parish wants 100 million. Well, then he's even more delusional to think that he's worth 100 million, right? Because he's Declan Rice when he went to Arsenal. He was the captain of West Ham, just won the Conference League, right? And he's been playing at a very high level, well, consistently showing his ability for years. So it's understandable why they went and spent 100 million or 105 million on him. But Adam Wharton is nowhere near that level, in my opinion.
Yeah, but Danny, can I just say, this is again the difference between football chairman and football fans. Us sitting here and going, he's not worth 70, not worth 80, not worth 90. We're missing the point completely. Palace aren't in any financial trouble. Palace don't need to sell. If Palace want to keep him, slap 100 million on him. They're happy. They'll keep him. Do you know what I mean? Now, they may accept 75. They may accept 80. But if you're not in financial difficulty...
They should accept 80 million.
I'm not saying they shouldn't. But the point is that Steve Parish can say whatever he wants. And this is, I suppose, the difficulty if you bring it back to Morgan Gibbs-White. This is the position that Nottingham Forest wish they were in, right? Without the release clause. They wish they were in the position to say, we want 80 for Morgan Gibbs-White. Fans can say he's not worth that, but this is a seller's market. This is a seller's market because unless you're in PSR trouble, clubs can turn around and go, you want him, you pay whatever we want. And if they don't, you go elsewhere. That's just, listen, I like Wharton. I like him. I think he's a good player. But I do agree with Sean. I think that with scouting, I think even without scouting, look at the players across Europe that you can get. I reckon you could get Belieber cheaper than Wharton out of Brighton. I believe that, when you look at the likes of Heung, when you look at Frendrup, when you look at, listen, Sean, who's available? Who's available is your mate Jashari, Milan can't get it done. Go and get Arden Jashari, drop 40 million euros. Like, there's players everywhere. So I just think I couldn't spend all my budget on one player.
I agree with that.
Things to do. I couldn't. It just would be a bit crazy. But maybe we've got 500 million. Who knows? Maybe we're gonna have a crazy window.
Let's have a little look, see, shall we?
What's the Shari like? Where's he from?
Oh, he's class. He is class.
What is he? A defensive midfielder?
Well,
Yeah.
he's a
Well, he's a midfielder, but he can do everything.
he's a midfielder that just does everything.
This is why Scout filtered DMs, right? So you can obviously chalk out. I mean, this is just some of the positions. So I've included a little bit of right midfielder in there, but Rodri, Rice, Valverde, Odegaard. Forget about any of those. Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Guimaraes, Barella, Pedri, McCallum. You can forget about all of these, right? James Maddison. You know what? I need to get rid of the. Hang on a second. Let's keep it simple. DMs.
I'll tell you what, Varela. By the way, Varela is someone that doesn't get talked about enough.
Look at him. He's class, mate. He's absolutely class. Look at this.
Doesn't get talked about enough. This boy, he can play.
That heat map. It's a rat-a-tar-tar heat map. That really is. It looks like a brain scan. Sensational.
Yeah, but this is the thing. We talk about Wharton at 80 million. Look at these. Yeah. Look at some of these players that would be half the price.
Barella's fucking class, man. I did a Y scout on him ages ago. Joey Veerman, another one, right? PSV. Yeah, I think Joey Veerman's going to be an absolute monster. He's not a PSV anymore. He's moved already. This data's from this season just finished, so it hasn't updated yet. He just moved. Calhanoglu, here's one for you. How about this geezer? Right, he can't get a move. He hasn't gone though, has he?
No, he hasn't.
I thought he was trying to go.
No, I think it was turned down. I think they ended up. I know he's a bit old, but I think they rejected the bid. He wanted to go back to Turkey, didn't he? But he's not gone. It's not gone. There's so many good players in there. You can get Youssef Fofana, monster out of Milan as well. And Milan, like I say, if Milan have just about to sign Granit Xhaka and they've just signed Richie, what's his name?
Sean, did you see who's in for Granit Xhaka tonight?
Yeah, Turkey, Al Hilal, wasn't it?
Sunderland.
Oh, really, mate? Let's talk about these teams just quickly. I wanted to finish 5 minutes ago, but I just wanted like there is this theme right now that the top three teams that go up or the teams that come up go down, right? Sunderland are quietly going about having a monster window. They have done so much. They spent 120 million quid already. I genuinely think that Sunderland have got a really, really good chance of staying up. And for what it's worth, if Leeds get Longstaff done and they can go and get Solomon from Tottenham and what else they've already done, I genuinely think the bottom of the Premier League this year is going to be fascinating. And I worry a little bit about Brentford. I worry a little bit about Bournemouth. I worry about some of these teams that think that they're safe because there's no threat of relegation. I think the teams that are coming up, Burnley not as much, but Burnley are about to lose their goalkeeper. They have signed Carl Walker and that, but Sunderland, I think Sunderland are going to try and do what Nottingham Forest did 2 years ago.
Yeah,
any thoughts on that?
They've signed some top players. I like that Adingra. I think he'll be brilliant for them.
Adingra is quality, a quality player.
The TalkSport said that Sunderland are trying to get Granit Xhaka for £8.7 million.
He'd be perfect for them.
Now, isn't that guy perfect for a newly promoted team?
Yeah. Leadership, experience, just going to sit in that six and just protect and just do his thing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I think Sunderland will stay up. I think
very good on the ball as well.
I agree with you, Michael George. I think West Ham might get sucked into it, to be honest. I think Everton have got problems on there. Although Everton have signed that fella. Who's that? Barry. Tierno Barry, I think they've signed.
Barry, yeah.
Yeah, he's
quite a few teams
a handful.
in Europe as well, isn't there? Quite a few teams that are experiencing Europe for the first time in a long time, and that could have bad implications for the league in terms of how they have a fully fit squad and like teams playing week in, week out, 2 games a week, etc. So that could be difficult. But Sunderland, and as well, some of the players that they're linked with as well. It's not just the players they've signed, some of the players that they are linked with. I didn't hear about the Xhaka one, but there are a couple of other players where you think, if they manage to get them over the line.
They've already spent like 110 million quid. They're just quietly going about their business. And they're having a real crack like Forest did 2 years ago. And look what happened to Forest. Good luck to Sunderland. They're having a go at it, Lads, I'll tell you what, we've been going for 2 hours and just over 2 hours. I think it's probably the best time. It's 10 to 12. It's a great time to finish off. Thank you very much for coming on. Sava, what's coming up on your channel, mate? I'll plug your show for everyone right now. What's coming up tomorrow?
Tomorrow, normal 10:30 a.m. show, and then got Ask Us Anything with Lubo in the afternoon. I've got a transfer show as well, and then I'm starting a new channel in a week's time soon. So,
oh yeah, talk to us about that. What's that called?
Just with 4 absolute numpties in the Spurs fan base, and it's called the Spurs 5, and yeah.
It's going to be awesome. Can I throw in the first question to Lubo for why is he mad at me, and is he going to be a little bit less sensitive on the Spurs 5? Otherwise, we're going to have a problem.
I'll ask him.
Ask him for me. Thank you very much for coming on, mate. Please get over to Football Heritage TV. The link is there for us. Lukey, what's coming up on Spotlight on Spurs, my man?
Yeah, so every Thursday, go live at 9:30 p.m. Different guests talking everything Spurs. Who knows what we're going to be speaking about by Thursday? We could be linked, signed someone, had a cancelled contract. Who's to know? So every Thursday, 9:30.
Love to see you, mate. You've been excellent again. James, are you still there, buddy, or have you disappeared? I think you might have disappeared.
Yeah, no, I'm here.
There you go, mate. Listen, your phone lasted. Your camera didn't, but your phone lasted, mate.
Camera crap. Yeah, I'm getting a new phone tomorrow.
Okay. Get up with the camera, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Any socials I can plug for you, mate?
No, I'm good, mate. I'll just lurk in the dark.
Like Lang.
That laugh is killing me.
Is sensational.
Oh,
we love you, mate. Thank you very much for coming on, buddy. Absolute sensation. Danny boy, whose channel am I plugging for you, my man?
You can plug all of the guys you've just plugged. They're the best channels to plug. So that's what I'll say.
Sensational stuff. Thank you so much for coming on, mate. You're an absolute legend. We'll get you on again.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, thank you, everyone. Listen, if you are interested in the audio platforms and that, then you can find us on podcast on Spotify and on Apple. Links in the description. Thank you so much for everyone, by the way, for the support on the channel in the last little while. It's been absolutely insane, and I really appreciate you all. Please smash the like on your way out. Please smash the subscribe. Please do get over to Saba. He'll be the next show. I might redirect to him now, but you have to wait about 10 hours before he gets there. So see you in the morning, guys. Thanks, everybody. Love you all. See you tomorrow. Take care. As always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.